Hey, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. My name is Cyrus Gray. Today is July 2nd. This is Independence Day weekend, both for the United States and Canada. So, welcome to Election Central. Today, we're going to be discussing our pre show, some of the things that are trending in Liberia. Excuse me. But for the main show, we're going to be focused on our legislature. Often when the president is elected, the the country and the citizens relies on him to run the country and to look out for their interest. So he works for the people. But during the tenure of his leadership, the people are represented by the legislature. So he does work for the legislature. So we're going to be looking at the legislature, the power that the Constitution gives them as proxy of the people, or to police the president, to guide the president, to instruct the president, because technically they instruct the president because they make the laws that the president is expected to implement. So we're going to be talking about that. Then we're going to get into some specifics about our particular, the 54th legislature of the Republic of Liberia. So let's begin to discuss our pre-show. Talk about some of the trending issues. But before we go into that, I wanted to share one of a cut of Bob Marley's song "No Woman No Cry," done by General Butler. Let's do that to begin our show. Let's see how it pans out. Hmm. Thank you for the song. How you doing, my brother?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I'm
I'll
here,
be
Sarah. Sorry.
remembered
I didn't know I was in the show. I was about to put a
when
song in
you
my mouth.
welcome. Let's get into tune to the cut up. No woman, no cry.
Yeah.
Done by General Butler. Over upset.
Don't cry, don't cry.
I see where we had.
Yeah, it's on now. It's playing. I'm hearing it now.
Right. So that it was running through my Mac because I was sharing. So
Oh, okay.
when I pull out, it pulled out.
I
So
see.
we didn't know. But that's all good. Let's get into our show, right?
Yeah.
How you been? How was your week?
It's okay. It's hectic. As I said to you, it's been a really hectic period, but it's been okay. It was to be expected. Yeah.
Yeah, but welcome back. Welcome
Yeah.
to Election
And
Central.
yeah, how about you from your end?
Yeah, I'm doing great.
Okay, great. Okay,
Are
great.
you still hearing that music?
No.
Okay. I'll tell you what. Today I took a number of trending issues.
Yeah.
I thought we should start. We'll start with this afternoon. Look at what the news is and maybe put some perspective on it. Today we're going to be having our panelist from Canada, Ontario,
Okay.
Canada. He's the former president of the Liberian Association there. He's called Francis Hine.
Mm-hmm.
And we're also going to be having another pundit coming from the New Jersey area, Gasita Johnson.
Okay.
He's going to talk a little bit about. He's in the States, but he's involved in Liberia election. He's supporting some cells, a group of young people who are advocating for particular types of candidates. And on the issue of particular types of candidate, we get into that in the meeting when we discuss our legislature. So in the main show, we're going to be talking about the Liberian legislature, its role, its record, and
Yep.
some of the people who represent us. So we'll
Mhm.
get to that. But let's get to our trending issues. I'd like to welcome also consider I think it's in the house now. Hey, how are you, my man? You're muted. We can't hear you.
How you doing, guys?
Yeah, welcome again to Election Central. It's been a while.
Yeah, well, we're monitoring the show from the outside.
Look like you got
You say you can hear me?
not quite.
Oh, that's,
Okay, so
oh,
let's jump into it. We
oh,
got 20 minutes to burn.
There's something in the background that's kind of.
you can hear me now?
I can hear you, kind of husky, but I can hear you.
Okay, let me see
Can you
what
hear me?
that is.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah, you clear.
Okay, we're good. I can hear you. So
Uh,
welcome, our
uh,
listening audience. I don't know, you've met Casetta was on the
Francis,
show a while ago, and we talked about El Iberia. He's a aviation practitioner. And
Okay.
we talk about El Iberia and how the former uh, captain of the presidential aircraft, J.U. Richardson, former El Iberia executive from Momalu Johnson. Right, it's been a while now.
Yeah.
Sarah, the team, which other candidates that do more for the aviation sector?
Which candidate will do more for the aviation sector?
Yeah.
I think Cummings. I mean,
Oh,
you're a businessman. You understand the business, so I would guess it's Cummings. But let's get into the. We'll talk about the politics or after the hour. So I selected a number of stories. Uh, let's see what we got here. Good. So I selected a number of stories. Can you guys still hear me, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah,
definitely.
some issues that are trending in Liberia this week. So the University of Liberia had its graduation, right? And first, the former Chief Justice Frances Johnson Morris, I think she was in the States while the graduation was going on. She saw a couple of students graduating that she claimed didn't pass her course. So she so she flagged that. Well, I don't know because she's somebody of repetition that the university didn't respond clearly, but they said they were holding on to the fact that they awarded those people their certificate. Then this young counselor at law, who I've just gotten to know is associate professor at the law school, by the name of Counselor Lucia Sonny Bala. She wrote an elaborate letter that has been circulating on Facebook, naming students that failed in her course who also graduated without her consent. So my own friend and brother, the dean of the law school, Jala Babu, were compelled to come up with a statement late in the week. And I have part of the statement there. He's saying that the allegations cannot be proven. I don't know. I don't know. You tell me. What about proof? I mean, the lady taught the class. She she fails some students or they fail, and the graduate. What does she have to prove?
I listen to
Uh,
Councilor
Are you
Babu.
still talking, Cyrus? We're not
No,
hearing you.
I'm not.
Oh,
I can hear you. Consider. Go ahead.
go ahead.
Yes, I listen to a little bit of Councilor Babu statement on I think it was OKFM, but he talked about how Justice Morris' grades were not changed or known to her, and in fact, he raised a lot of issues concerning in fact, how she had to leave to come to the States, but that's not the issue. The issue here is about the grades. Were they changed, known to her or not?
But it's peculiar, Alfonso. What you said about the teachers are saying that the students didn't pass. I mean, I don't know what else
Yeah,
can be said. If Babu
yeah,
come out and say, "Oh no, that no proof," I can understand that.
yeah. So I don't know. I do not have the details about uh, Justice Frances Johnson Morris Allison's situation because I didn't see her resignation. I didn't read about it. I've heard of it, but I didn't read about it. But I did read uh, Dean Babu's statement about, the statement by resignation letter by Councilor Lucia Sonin Bala. And I have a lot of problems with this with the statement from Dean Babu. First of all, Dean Babu did not clearly address the issues that were raised by Councillor Soningbala. Councillor Soningbala said, and she named two students specifically, and she said that those two students plagiarized. So he's claiming that there were foreign grades. Well, she explained to him that foreign grade, and he said foreign grade meaning P, which is not a grade that you give people traditionally. But
Hmm.
she explained to him and to the school that no, I put P to indicate plagiarism, that these students plagiarized, that they cheated. Plagiarism, as we all know, who went to university, especially graduate school or whatever, further know that plagiarism is very serious in the
It's a big
academic.
deal.
It's a big deal. And rather than investigate that, Counselor Babu is saying, no, but P is not a grade. All right, she explained
So
to
he
you.
changed the P to C.
Yeah, but she told you why she gave P. So that's not justification to now say the students passed. B, his other argument is that, well, him and Counselor Sonin Bala were supposed to teach the course together, and she didn't cooperate with him in teaching the course together. So she drew up the course outline. He was not involved. He accepted it. She drew the test. He was not involved, but he accepted it. But he's not accepting the grades.
Well, what's the point?
That's kind of peculiar to
Because
me.
they're passing up on them.
Yeah. So that
Yeah,
and in
they was out of school.
and the interesting point I want to make here is that these same two students were also cited by Councillor Francis
Councilor
Johnson
Morris,
Murray.
yeah.
So I mean, these two students are the constant in this whole thing. Two professors have said these two students they didn't do well and they didn't pass their courses.
Yeah,
So
it doesn't bode very well for the university and Babu, who I know. I mean,
yeah,
I am surprised that but even the council of Ballard, why don't you just say they fail? Why P?
well, I think it's important not to just say the student failed, because failing is you made an effort, you took the course, you didn't pass the content, the material that we're giving you, you didn't grasp it. If you cheat, that's more than failing, because cheating usually, if you fail, you can repeat the course. When you cheat, such as
She did,
plagiarize, you can
she
really
said,
get dismissed from the school. So that
Oh.
is a higher level of so they didn't just fail.
But my point is,
Mm,
Alfonso,
yeah.
in Bala, Babu's argument is that a crazy argument anyway, but his other technicality. He said, I don't understand P because P is not in the grading skill, it's not any of the letters we use to grade.
But there's no, I don't think there's any letter, and Councilor Babu failed to tell us whether there's a letter that tells us whether a
For
student
plagiarism.
plagiarism. If there's no letter that tells us that, then the professor explained to you, this is the letter I gave.
Then that's it. Then that's what you mean.
I don't see his argument. So the point here is, oh, I don't understand P, and she explained to you what P is. That's
And
the
you
point.
should not have changed it to pass
You don't change,
without conferring with her since she was the.
you don't make the student to graduate because you don't understand what P is. They just explained P to you.
Well. That's it. So let's go to the next issue here. The young Christian Allison the second has been appointed as the head of the LBDI Bank. This young guy is in-house. I think he's been with the bank since about 2002. Selected from the University of Liberia, and he had been through the ranks of the bank. I thought to talk about this because there was a controversy in the bank not too long ago. And you guys remember?
I heard of that controversy.
so let me come in quickly. This one it hit close to home. This young man, I saw him from baby. You remember when I come over to you in Houston, the house you can drive me to.
Right.
You remember that funeral I went to about my childhood friend, the army guy.
Yeah.
Okay, that his brother, the youngest one. Yeah.
Well, he now
Okay,
has been appointed as the head of LBDI. I'm wondering why they appoint these very young guys as head of banks. Is, is
but
that is that the
he
trend now?
he been in that sector for a long time, especially at Central Bank. I think he got on more than 15, 20 years experience. And I understand after the issue of the Delaney guy, after he was removed by LBDI, he was the in-house representative at LBDI.
So he was running the bank more or less.
Yes.
I'm really proud, that we have young guys like this. Even the Dio Delaney, when they appointed him, I was also very proud of it. But then it turned out they said that he
It's a fraud.
plagiarized or he
That,
he
that guy is a fraud.
he misrepresented in his credentials and he was forced to resign. So now we have Christian Allison now as the head of LBDI. So we can only wish him the best. So let's see what's next. We got a slow movement at the cursor here. Wow, this is this is not the story I want. Okay, so this also has been trending this week. President Taylor, I mean President Charles Taylor, Yeah, I say Taylor because the name is spelled wrong. But President Taylor filed a lawsuit against the government of Liberia at the ECOWAS court. His claim was that as former president, the government of Liberia has not been remitting his pension and retirement benefits. So that case went to court, and the court came out with a decision last week uh, denying him of the pension and the benefit. Now, I read the ruling. I was a little perturbed by it, though. Their argument was that Taylor eventually was charged and found guilty of human rights violation in prison, so he's not entitled to his pension benefit. What do you say to that?
But is there anything in the Liberian constitution that will cause a forfeiture of the former president benefit?
Not that I know of, or any law whatsoever. I don't know what ECOWAS. How did the case get to ECOWAS, and how did ECOWAS decide that? It sounded like it was the ruling sound more like prejudice against the president. I mean, the president was accused of crimes in Sierra Leone. So their logic is basically you're not an honorable man anymore, so you're not entitled to your benefit. I don't know. Can that happen? I mean, you work when you retire, and you go and commit a crime to take a benefit from you.
So I have to do a little bit of research on that. Unfortunately, that's not a topic that I look into before the program. But it is possible that there is law, because there is general law in the Constitution and in criminal law that also speaks to, people forfeiting certain rights and benefits based upon the crimes or type of crimes that they commit. I don't know if that relates specifically to pension for an ex-president who's been convicted of war crimes. But as the program progresses, that is something I will read, and if we
Yep.
have some time, I'll bring it in. But there are circumstances and situations in law generally where people can be denied of benefits and certain privileges, because again, pension is kind of a privilege. So certain benefits and privileges if they commit certain capital crimes.
Okay.
I don't know in this case whether that applies. So let's be clear on that.
So let's get to the next one.
So Cummings to waive his salary when he's elected president. Yeah. I think this is a gimmick that a lot of politicians use. If you look at the president's salary and really what the president does with the salary is minuscule. The country takes care of the president. The country houses the president. The country gives the president food, gives the president car, gives the president money for where to
Spending
go,
money.
the food to eat, and everything. So the 20,000 or $30,000 salary to make is insignificant. It's I think we need to go beyond in Liberia this whole thing of looking to our leaders to do us favors and just ask them to do the right thing for the country. Take your 30, 40,000, $50,000 salary. We don't want it. It don't mean much to you. Stop doing us charity here and just do the right thing and create jobs for us, with education system, healthcare, and your $50,000 month will not matter to us. That's a Yeah. So that's a tendency of us expecting our leaders, and therefore our leaders coming across as, oh, I have to do my people favor. I have to be this humanitarian to my people. And the way to be humanitarian is to give them my money. It is your personal money, you deserve it, keep it. If you want to give it, go open some place and help people wherever. But the, we elect you for you to manage our country, to implement programs and policies that help us, not for you to give us our personal money. That's my position. I believe Mr.
That's a
Weah
good
also
position.
said Mr. Weah also said he was giving his money, his salary, and not taking salary as well. In
Yeah.
the United States, Mr. Donald Trump said he wasn't taking salary as well. Those two people, nothing happened because they didn't take salary. It didn't mean that they improve our lives. So enough of that, in my view.
Good point. So, I mean, if you must waive your salary as an issue of gesture, then maybe you could make a determination to give it to charity.
Yeah,
Yeah,
go give it to give it to the drug, treatment places in the place there, and
yeah,
let's see what goes to it. Yeah.
yeah. Okay, so we skip this, but we got back to it. This is one of the things that's trending. So, former Minister Nathaniel McGill was sanctioned by the U.S. Treasury, and he was forced to resign. In any developed or civilized society, he would be considered a disgraced politician, right? But but he has been making headways in Magibi and spending money and being endorsed by people here and there. And this week, the CDC formally nominated him as the candidate for the Senate
Hmm.
for Magibi County. So if the will of his supporters prevail in October, we'll be talking about Senator Nathaniel McGill,
Yeah.
Senator of McGill County, honorable U.S. Senator like Prince Johnson and
Yeah.
Councilor Barney Sherman.
So,
But
but Sarah, where the CDC nominating Honorable McGill, uh, what does this signal? Are they still doing business with him?
of course, by nominating him, they obviously doing business with him. He's being preferred as a candidate for the election. What would you say, Alfonso?
More than that, Cyrus, I think that's a good answer. Brother Johnson, that's a good question. Obviously, they're doing business with him, which is a violation of at least partial violation of the sanctions. But more than doing business with him, they are endorsing his crimes. The
Correct.
CDC is the ruling party in the country. The government is in place. The government has failed, and these people have been indicted to investigate and to prosecute them. Of course, I didn't expect that they would do it because one of the allegations, a part of the allegations against Mr. McGill, are one, that he was taking money from people, business people coming into the country, bribes and stuff. He's in the president's office. I mean, there's a lot of information the president is aware of all of that. But more than that, the company that was established to do the whatever it is clearance at the Port of Buchanan was allegedly formed by Miguel from what the guy named at the Freeport of Monrovia, who was also sanctioned,
In a
William
throwaway.
Bill
Don't you?
Twerwit, and that Mr. President Weah was also involved in it. So if you see that these three people, these two people are not being investigated and prosecuted, that's probably most likely the reason why. And that is the reason why they decided, hey, my man, we'll not take you to court, but we can't appoint you, but we'll support you to find elective position. Then we can argue that, well, the people elected you, but we'll do everything to make sure that you get that position. And that's
Those are
exactly.
our stake. I mean, in my thing more is an affront. It's an affront to the rule of law, the fight against corruption, and it leaves a negative message even for the younger generation. You know.
Oh, you just hit the nail right on the head. In fact, that is why corruption is so prevalent in Liberia. The fact that there's no accountability, the fact that we hail people who steal from us, they are the people who follow and we dance behind, and we say because they're able to bring us a few bags of rice and get dash us some money here and there. They are the celebrities. If you hit Monrovia today, if you have money, to give to people to come and meet you at the airport and dance, they will do it.
It
If I
will.
go there, they won't even know my name because I haven't get myself to get nobody.
Yeah, but those are the residues of poverty, so that people become despondent.
Yeah,
They adapt that kind of sense of apathy, and they
yeah,
don't care whether you're a leader or not. Once you can bring some money, they take what they can take, and it's a sad story. I hope it doesn't win the election. I hope the Liberian people can make a statement
yeah,
that they will not allow such a person into power. But this is a sequel that leads us into our main discussion today because we're going to be talking about the legislature its role, the record of the legislature, some of the things that have happened, the the deliberation, the decorum, in the legislature, and also about the people who represent us.
Yep.
So in a minute or so, we're gonna join the main show, and we're going to begin that discussion in earnest. So let's see what we have here. We got all our tools are kind of slow.
So
There's no mountain too great. Hear these words and have faith. Oh, he lives in you. He lives in me. He watches over everything we see. Into the water, into the truth, in your reflection, he lives in you. He lives in you. He lives in you. He lives in me. Oh, he watches over everything you see. Into the water, into the truth.
Okay, welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Election Central, Independence Day weekend edition. Today we're going to be talking about the Liberian Legislature. I have with me my co-host, Francois, and we have our guest panelists in the house, the City Johnson. We're going to be expecting two more panelists. Demasibo is calling out of Liberia. He is contestant for the representative position for Monferrato District Number 1. And he's going to bring us some perspective from that side. We're also going to have later on in the show the former president of the Liberian Association in Canada, Francis Ine. He's going to also join us so that we discuss issue around our legislature, the role, the power, the record that of the legislature and some of the people who represent them. So I hope you guys went through this a little bit, so that you can bring us the value. I took some time. We can tweak it whichever way we want, but I wanted us to look at those essential issues. So, Francois,
yeah, definitely.
take a lead and jump into it.
Yeah, yeah. So basically, I mean, the concept of three branches of government. I don't know how long it was established for. So I don't remember the years and stuff. That's why I didn't do a lot of history because I hit numbers, I hit figures. Um, but the concept was established long ago by Montesquieu, and it's based on the principle that in the past they had king or whoever, and the king was responsible for everything. So they made laws that they judge people. They made laws that judge people. That took the honor took development policies, policies, and the people realized that no, if we have such a system where there's no separation of powers and where there's no separation of powers, where one person or one group is just doing everything, it's going to be a problem. So
Mm-hmm.
the concept of separation of powers came about. And from the concept of separation of powers came the idea the concept, the principle
Alfonso, pardon me, there is some kind of sound coming from somewhere, or
is coming from Brother
from
Johnson.
Johnson.
So mute yourself when not speaking. Yeah. So
Yeah, okay.
yeah. So really, that's where the concept of checks and balances come from. So we have three, so that each can check on the other, as opposed to having just one where it does everything all by itself. Fast forward. That is the concept, because our founders came from America, which also borrowed that concept. That is the concept that was brought to Liberia and enshrined in our constitution. So the legislature has a certain role, the legislative body, to legislate, to control things such as make budget, make laws, make sure there's accountability, etc. Then there's the executive, which implements, and then there's the judiciary, which actually interprets the law. So again, those are the functions of the three branches of government. Now you talk about the legislature. The legislature makes law, which is legislation. The legislature does oversight. The legislature is also responsible for how to call it, for controls the purse strings.
Correct.
Yeah, the legislature controls the purse strings. So there's no budget that passing in that country, for example. There's no money going to any project in that country, for example, supposedly without the legislature approving it. That makes the legislature extremely critical and central to governance and to our daily lives. Whether there's a school in Sinje and whether that school in Sinje has teachers is determined by the legislature and the budget it passes and the policy agenda of the legislature.
Correct.
Whether there's drinking water in the country is based upon who you elect to represent you in the national legislature. If the representative from Sinjet district goes and sits there and says so say once so say all and doesn't advocate for a school budget, an elementary school or high school or whatever for Sinjet, forget it, you don't get it. You will not get it. So within an election period, we all we're talking about a lot is the president, who would be president, who would be rescue one, rescue two, fixer one, fixer two, this thing. But the legislature controls the government. And that's why it's extremely critical. And I'm happy that we're discussing this. That's why it's extremely critical that this topic of who becomes legislators must be discussed, because it's extremely, extremely important. Legislature can render the executive, uh, uh, I wouldn't say powerless, but can limit the veto power of the president.
Correct. So I mean that's a good way to lay it out, but there is some simple line that we miss most of the time. You know, every time somebody say, "Oh, the legislature is the first branch of government," and there's argument in between. Somebody say the president is the most powerful because he's the head of state, head of the military, head of government. But think about it. In the very beginning of our constitution,
Mhm.
the constitution gives the power to the people,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So once every 6 years, the people elect a president
Yep.
who oversees governance. But the people also elect the people's representatives.
Yep.
So technically, during the tenure of the president, at a time where the people as a group cannot influence the way he governs, the legislature is the people.
Yes.
That's why the Constitution enshrined in the legislature enormous power and authority to ensure that the president and the government is in compliance. So if you have a legislature that is unaware of his capabilities or corrupt or ill-informed, then you naturally have a bad president, bad governance. Okay,
Yes.
all the legislature is required to do from the beginning is to say this solemn oath. That's why I put the solemn oath up there. As we go forward, we'll find out what qualifies somebody to be a legislature and go a little more into details about the powers that they have, the exclusive powers that the Senate has vis-a-vis the House of Representatives. So again, the legislature is made out of two houses. The lower house, which is the House of Representatives, headed by a speaker, and the upper house, which is headed by the Senate. But then the Constitution makes the head of the lower house who is the speaker as the head of the legislature, de facto head of the legislature. There are some strange things that happen with our legislature when we're talking about conduct and thing. We're getting to that a little bit, but let me read it all. They say I. And Fanso, for example, if you are you are
Crown
representing
legislator. District, maybe district number one when I met Kanye run against him.
do do solemnly swear that I will support, uphold, protect, and defend the Constitution and the laws of the Republic of Liberia and bear true faith and allegiance to the Republic, and will faithfully, conscientiously, and impartially discharge the duties and functions of the office of the Honorable House of Representatives, or in another case, the House of Senate, to the best of my ability. So help me God. This seemed to be a complete photocopy from a U.S. solemn oath, right?
It is. It is. Except the judge changed the Republic of
The
Liberia.
country name and the name of the president. But the idea is that you are making a commitment in the premise because of the enormous authority and responsibility that has been placed before you. So let's go into a little bit detail about the configuration of our legislature. Bear with me. Somehow my cursor is kind of
It's okay.
slow.
That's technology, brother.
Yeah, it happens every now and then on this side of the country on Sunday. I don't know.
Yeah.
Beginning to be like Liberia now in Texas.
And then you have a lot of sunshine. It's very hot there here.
Yeah, it is.
It's in the
It is.
hundreds. Yeah.
So as we wait for this stuff to load, there are a couple of I don't know whether it would make sense to bring a couple of the videos from our legislature. If this thing is slow, if I bring a video, it will even get slower. You think?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, we can discuss this. Like, why did you want to talk about the legislature
Well,
because
next we're going to details about the actual
powers of
configuration
the
of
law?
the configuration of the legislature. I have that.
Okay.
I have that
Right.
here. The
So,
the interestingly, the current legislature is not is an opposition legislature. But what I mean, the
Yeah.
ruling CDC has a minority vote in the legislature.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know that?
Yes, I knew that. I knew that. But I was, yeah, I knew that.
Considering all the complaints that we have about bad governance, corruption, and all that, and in view of the powers the legislature have, I mean, how is it happening if the opposition has majority in the legislature?
So I think the problem we have in is yes, it's true the opposition has majority, but the opposition is splintered. So they're not working together as a monolith, as one group. Second thing is that a lot of the opposition legislators are technically not tethered to the political parties that they represent or that put them in the office in the first place. Uh, it's these people won their offices and their positions because of their personal stuff in their among their people and whatever the case may be. So that thirdly, and most importantly, in my view, is that there's really no political ideology within these political parties that the candidates are supposed to be pursuing. The United States, for example, Democrats are liberal. They promote liberal economic policies. They promote, um, safety net programs, education, etc. Republicans promote, conservative policies, etc. Our political parties do not have any ideology and any policy. So candidates simply just go for what they can get for themselves personally, and they're there for 6 years or 9 years. So they make, the best in their own personal interest as they can do, get all the bribes, make all the money, and that's it. And they don't care about whatever they vote for any. The fourth thing is that they don't even know their roles. a lot of them do not even know their roles and what they're supposed to be doing for their people. So, I mean, we'll go in detail on that, but I see you might be frozen, Cyrus.
Can you hear me?
Okay, I'm hearing you, but you seem your picture seems
Yeah,
to.
the image is frozen. So, Alfonso, you have the write-out, right? Do you have it on your computer?
Yes, I can bring it up. Yeah, I can bring it up. Let me see the stuff you sent me, correct? Yeah, let me bring it up. The stuff, let me bring it up right now. Let me bring it up. So what you sent me? Yeah, okay. Why did you? Okay, hold on. Let me go to my computer. Oh, I have it open on my phone, but let me go to my computer and open it here. Let me see. Uh, uh. All right. What do you? Oh, come on. So, Attica. Uh, do you hear me? Oh boy. I hope I didn't lose.
Yes, can hear you.
Okay. All right. All right. So, what? Where is he? Cyrus, what do you want me to do? Where is Cyrus? Oh boy. Uh, so Cyrus, did we lose Cyrus? Isaac, do you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you clear, but I can see Sarah.
You don't see Cyrus, and he's I don't know if we're still broadcasting because he's the host. And let me see here.
Um,
Let me see.
Probably in Texas.
Yeah, I'm gonna text him right now. Uh, do you see the stuff on the screen, or Isaac? Isaac,
For
do you
you
see
mean
anything on the screen?
from Sarah's angle,
I am the one sharing screen. So do you see anything
I
on the
see I see all the rule and records of the Liberian legislature.
so you see the Liberian legislature, then you see photos, then when you come down, you see solemn oath.
No, I can't see it.
Do you see Article 34? The
No,
legislature shall.
no. I only see the back of the front of the Capitol building.
Oh, that's all you see. Okay. 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 All right, let me text Cyrus and see. I'm trying to share my screen, but Lola, you're not seeing it. So let me text him. Maybe he needs to make me. Maybe he needs to make me a host. All right, so Cyrus is back. I was trying to share Cyrus, but are you on? Cyrus? Oh my God. Unfortunately. All right, let me attempt to share screen again. Um you're still hearing me, right, Isaac?
Yeah, I hear you clear.
Okay, so let me try to share again and let's see what happens. I texted Cyrus as well. Looks like he has to. Okay, yeah.
You
Reboot.
responding to your text?
Yeah, he said he's rebooting, so we can keep talking. I was just trying. Okay, he's back. He's back.
Yes, the broadcasting service is gone. Alfonso, if you can hear me, keep broadcasting. I'm going to.
Okay. All right. All right. I'm hearing you. Yeah. Okay. So Isaac,
Yeah,
what do you see on the screen? You see the Capitol building, correct?
yes,
And you see our pictures, correct?
yes.
Okay. I'm going to go to the next slide and see. Tell me if you see what else you see.
Uh, I don't see any movement.
You don't see it says the solemn oath of
No,
affirmation.
no, I don't see.
You don't see that. All right. All right. I don't know what's going on here. All right. Let me see. All right. We can keep talking. We can keep talking. So basically, what it is we started off on, Isaac, is the importance of the national legislature in governance, and how electing the right people to the legislature is extremely important. So what's your view on that, vis-a-vis the performance of our current legislature?
Yeah, basically, as you rightly put it, Liberia is a constitutional democracy.
Uh-huh.
That our democracy is model on that of the U.S. So we have the three branches of government, and the legislature derive its power from the Constitution. And constitutionally, it is vested with several functions. And I think it names some of the functions like lawmaking, oversight, and representation. Now, nowadays, first of all, the election that is coming up in October, it tend to be skewed towards the presidency. But
Hmm.
however, but
Hmm.
however,
Hmm.
there is I hear you a sound.
No, go ahead. It probably me. I'm saying,
Yeah, it is skewed towards the presidency. It probably has to do with the enormous uh, power and influence of the presidency. But there is another level of election that is equally important, if not much more important, is that of the legislature.
hmm
So we have to be careful of the quality of people elected to that house, because it is evident in the kind of decisions that they make. And the decisions that they make there at the Capitol building, it tends to impact all of us.
Mhm.
You see that probably in um, poor education facilities, lopsided, lopsided distribution of the country's wealth. So just as you said, it's equally important for us to know who will be elected to the House of Representatives.
Mhm. Okay.
And not the House of Representatives, but the capital as a whole.
The legislature, the
Legislature.
legislature as a whole, exactly, exactly. Well, so let's look at. I mean, we started out with the oath that the legislators take, and basically we read the oath. We said, "I, Isaac or Alfonso, do solemnly swear that I will support, uphold, protect, and defend the Constitution and laws of the Republic of Liberia." I think that's extremely critical. You uphold the Constitution, meaning you will make sure that the constitutional provisions are upheld and protected and defended and implemented, as well as the laws of the Republic, other laws of the Republic, and bear true faith and allegiance to the Republic, which is you'll be honest and you'll work diligently to make sure that the principles laid out for the continuation and progress of the republic are upheld, and
But
with
quickly,
faithfully, conscientiously, and impartially discharge the duties and functions of the office of the honorable house or of the honorable senate. I think we should go to this point. It's really, really important. The
okay, but quickly,
functions, the
quickly,
function Yeah, let's
yeah,
discuss the
quickly,
functions of the houses, the House of Representatives and the House of Senate. Because as you touched on it, you talk about how the role of the legislator, the representative senator is
you frozen, Alfonso.
important. What
Alfonso,
exactly are their functions as spelled? Do you hear me, Isaac?
yeah, you are frozen.
My God, what's
Yeah, but
going on
before
here
getting
today?
into that, you
Is it
talk
the heat?
yeah, you talk about the oath, and I want to touch a little bit on that oath.
Do you hear me now?
Yeah, clear.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah, I said before getting into that, um, I want I want to touch the oath. You just talk about the oath.
Yep.
Now, what do you see nowadays? Those guys, once they are elected, do they really promise what they mean when they take that oath and they get
Mm-hmm.
elected?
Mm.
They promise or they promise what they do mean, and
I so
what
that is something we should talk about. That's a really important question. Given what they've been doing so far that we all see, do you believe they are doing what they promise when they take the oath, or when they're taking the oath that they're even serious or sincere?
secondly, do they practice what they preach?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So if you were asking me, I would say a lot of them are not practicing what they preach, what they say when they take the oath. A lot of them are not upholding the Constitution. A lot of them are not upholding and pursuing their obligations and responsibilities as prescribed by the Constitution, which they swear they will do when they take the oath, because that's what the oath basically is intended to make them to do. So they are constantly reminded, saying, I took the oath. It's like somebody, it's really a swearing, right? It's a swearing ceremony. So it's that somebody saying, I swear I will not do this. I swear this is what I would do. The
Yeah.
idea of the swear is to make sure that you would do it, that you will be held accountable, that your own conscience will hold you accountable to do it, because it's a swear and you're not supposed to break a swear. That's why we call it a swearing in. Unfortunately, a lot of them, when they take the oath, either they don't even know the gravity of the oath, they don't care about the gravity of the oath, or they just, once they assume office, they are overtaken by the power and by the fact that it can make a lot of money on the blood toil and sweat of the people, so they don't care. That's my view. I mean, what do you think?
Uh, I think I share that view because um, most of what we see, they make no promises, but they don't. The promises will never. They don't mean. They never mean to carry out the promises. They also, once they get elected, they don't practice what they have been preaching.
Yeah,
They don't. Yeah. So again, we come back to on that core issue
yeah.
or the kind of the quality of people that should be elected to the House or
Mm-hmm.
to the legislature.
Mm-hmm.
Because, as I said, the decisions that they make, they are very impactful to
Mm-hmm.
everyday life doing.
Mm-hmm.
And we can,
Mm-hmm.
it is evident in the my grandson. It is evident in the way things are done, the way things are run in the country. You see that
Mm-hmm.
through a poorly managed educational system. You see
Mm-hmm.
that in governance. You see that in the distribution of the wealth. So all of that had to do with decisions made at the capital.
So,
That,
so yeah, and Brad Johnson, you're correct, but here's an issue though. A lot of those same people who are in the legislature today are running for re-election. They're running for re-election, so that they can go back, and some of them for the House of Representatives, it will be for 6 years, and for the Senate, it will be for 9 more years.
uh, but also, I think there will be a huge turnover.
A huge
Turnover,
turnover, like what?
not by
Well,
definite.
you guys, pardon me, man. Let me use the time to. I had a shutdown on this side. That's why
No problem, brother.
it was good that you carried on. But where exactly are we on the table?
So where we were, and we need to brief you so you can take over. So where we are is the fact that these some of these legislatures, we talk about the oath that they took or
Hmm.
that they take, whether they're even sincere when they take the oath, whether they even understand the oath, and or whether or not they're abiding by the oath. Our conclusion is that they're not abiding by the oath. And then the question was why. We answered that. The second thing is, the other thing is that a lot of them are running for re-election now. So Brother Johnson was saying that's why he meant when he said there will be huge turnover, because they haven't been performing their duties. So we haven't really gone to their powers
Oh,
and
okay. So we should look at the powers that they have, right? Because
yes,
I
we
wanted
should.
us to at least
So
to be
am I
clear about what they really are, what the legislature really is.
exactly? Am I
And
sharing? Do you see? Am I sharing?
yeah, I didn't. It's in the box below, but I brought I managed to get the table back. So I don't see your sharing. Yeah, we're running two platforms. You can see your sharing, Alfonso.
Okay, so now.
He, he got the Article
When I was
34, right?
trying to share, and it wasn't working.
Article 34, where you have two bullet points there. Want to create new counties,
Yes,
other political
yes,
subdivisions, readjust
yes,
existing county borders. You see that?
yes, I do.
And then to provide a security of the republic, they are responsible to support the army, to declare war. I mean, if you read the thing, it looks like the legislature is the one that has the authority to do just about everything. And
Absolutely,
and the presidents seem to be in the constitution, to be there to work for the legislature.
absolutely. And if I may very quickly make a point, and that's what the Republican form of government was intended to do, to take the power away. These people, when they ran away from England and came to America, they had suffered, should I say, leadership, for lack of a better word, I said that rulership of a king, and they wanted a say. So they built a government that says the people must rule and govern. So really, the Senate is a compromise. The power really rests in the House of Representatives, because that's a house that really represents the people.
The
That's why
people,
you
right?
have smaller constituencies and those kinds of things. So yes, the legislature has more power, and is supposed to exercise more power than the president, because
And this is coming
that's
out of Article 34 of the Constitution. See what it
yeah,
says about financing, because reading it, I
yeah.
thought about something already. Like
Hmm.
somebody was mentioning this group at the port that was created by McGill.
Yeah,
Technically, those groups are illegal because they only the legislature can levy taxes and fees.
yeah.
Anybody can just jump out and create group to collect money from people. You hear
No,
say to levy taxes, duties, imports, exercise and other revenues, to borrow money, issue currency, mint coins, and to make appropriation for the fiscal government of the republic, subject to the following qualifications.
yeah,
One, all revenue bills, whether subsidies, charges, imports, duties, and taxes, and other financial bills shall originate in the House of Representatives, but the Senate may propose or concur with the amendment as on other bills. No other financial charge shall be established, fixed, laid on, or levied on any individual, community, or locality under any pretext whatsoever, except by the express consent of the individual, community, and locality. In all such cases, a true and correct amount of funds collected shall be made to the community or locality. Have you ever thought about this? What that constitution is saying? So most of
because
the fees and stuff that they put on people with government account, they say, oh, they'll add the other fee, or those things technically, if they are not legislation, they're illegal.
it is, it's completely clear. The Constitution is clear. And before you came back, Cyrus, Brother Johnson made the point. The competence of the people we elect to the legislature is extremely important. Who are we electing? Do they even know these things? Do they understand their power? I mean, I was listening to a statement by somebody who is a candidate for District 10, um, and she was trying to say something, and it was, I don't know what she was trying to say. So my point is, this person goes into the legislature. Do they even know these things? Do they even know they
Wow,
can?
that's a lot of power. First thing,
Yeah,
they can put a stop to a whole lot of collections that are being made and taxes that are being levied on the people, because they have to consent it.
yeah,
Instead, the people decide in their own community they want to do. I mean, even the community can agree, say, let's put some money together to help the community.
exactly.
You can't have a president does not have the authority to just jump on and just levy tax.
No, 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 no.
Wow. It said two, it said no money shall be drawn from the treasury except in consequence of appropriations made by legislative enactment and
Yeah,
upon warrant of the president. And no coin shall be minted or national currency issued except by the express authority of the legislature.
yep.
An annual statement and account of the expenditure of all public monies shall be submitted to the office of the president, to the legislature, and published once a year. Do we do that?
Well, in reality, you don't see that.
I'll let Brother Johnson answer that question first.
Listen to you. I mean, we have had instances, and not only under this government, even Ellen's time, where the Minister of Finance is called to question because monies that were not appropriated for something was used.
Yeah, yeah,
We have a situation where the donor agencies wrote the government of Liberia that money they had in the bank for projects that the government use it, and the Minister of Finance will come and give excuse that, oh, he had to pay salary. But those things are a violation of the law. You can't pay salary out of money that have not been appropriated. I mean, the money is just not there. I mean, in the United States government, you notice that at a certain time you hear this crisis arise where they say the government will be shut down
Yeah,
because at some point, monies that Congress is supposed to approve because of deliberations and arguing, they have not reached that conclusion to approve that budget. The government shuts down. So the law provides that there's certainly minimal amount of money. I think a third of the budget that can be used but they cannot expend the rest of the money for that budget period because Congress has not approved it. I mean, can you imagine? I mean, people do all in Liberia, and they get away with it. They get away with it. You know that group at the port is a good example. They call it Maritime Tracking Group. I mean, we came in and just put that group together. They collect $250 on every container, collecting millions of dollars from people that is not approved by the legislature. So when I say the government, I mean the legislature. Am I going through this problem again?
Like if you're frozen again,
Really?
yeah. I mean, you see, gesticulating, but then I don't really hear you.
Alfonso, did I lose you? Man, this is a piece of work, though.
For me, I can hear you, Sarah, but Alfonso gone.
No, I'm here.
Let's
I
see.
was in studio,
Alfonso
so
is
he had to let me in. Yeah,
Alfonso is in the box.
I'm in the show now.
Yeah, I'm trying to get you back in. Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
I think I'm freezing over and over, but listen to what we're talking about. I mean, the power of the legislature. We'll jump a couple of pages because this thing is moving at its own pace. 6 5. Okay. Well, after finance, look at the other powers that they have. They constitute the codes. They structure that. They approve treaties and conventions, concession agreements. The other day, there was a situation with this group that have the contract in Guinea. Can you hear me, Alfonso? They had a contract in Guinea to move iron ore from Guinea to Liberia. I don't know whether they've had a concession agreement signed yet. I doubt it. But they wrote the government a letter and published it in the newspaper that the government took $30 million from them and have not come through with a with MOU. Can you imagine? And that's complete Ponzi scheme because unless because they're acting in the name of the people without the authority of the people, because the Constitution gave that authority to the legislature. You have another issue the other day
Yep.
where a group of legislators said they went to India and cut a deal with Elenito and waived millions of dollars from the iron ore in Bumming Hills. On what authority? I mean, it's as though the people who run our country are even oblivion to the rules. They're not even looking at what the laws are.
Yeah, yeah, and that's sad. And as you're going through those things, and as I remember those situations myself, it just drains the blood out of you. Just seeing what these people are doing. It's said incompetence, it's the ignorance, it's a just blatant corruption, believing within themselves that the people of Liberia can do and will do nothing to them. I
I think
think
it's a combination of everything,
it's a
Alfonso.
combination of everything. I agree with you. Unfortunately, we do not have an electorate.
What?
We do not have a civil society structure that will hold these people accountable. We don't have a legislature that will hold these people accountable. The Constitution doesn't just say that the legislature must agree on this and that. It's also by vote, a majority vote, and not just a majority in other cases, a two-third vote in many other cases. How can a group of legislators just go to another country and say we waive these taxes? You take them, you don't pay the people. I was on another
That's
show.
illegal. It's not within their
It
power to
is
do.
it is illegal. I was on another show on Friday, and we're talking about Sierra Leone. And here is what the Sierra Leonean government did when Bio took over. They said, point number one, the mining sectors, they have a major mining sector. The mining Communities, where the resources come from. Before Bill took over, they got 0.1%. He said no, they will get 1%. In addition to that, 20% of all royalties that are paid to the government will go to those communities. Now, if you go to Bumi, a group of legislators, maybe Edwin Snow and other people, go to India and say, you don't give us these royalties, you don't pay these taxes to us, you don't do this. What are they doing? They're depriving the children and people of Bumi County of health
But
care.
they don't have the power to do that. In
One,
fact,
they don't have the power to do it, but they're doing it
but they're
anyway.
doing it.
Yeah. Two, consequently, they're depriving the people of Bumi of basic social services that they should be getting from their resources. Those resources belong to the people of Bumi County, not to the three legislators who come from that county. Have they consulted with the people? Even if they consulted with people, it has to be a vote of the
It
legislature.
has to be law. It has to
It has
be
to be
law.
passed
They
into
have to be
law.
passing the law using the
Yeah,
very procedures that
yeah.
are set forth in the look. That is something that is a source of controversy on the board. If you see here under the eligibility for legislators,
Yeah.
they say you must be a Liberian, you must be at least 25 years old, you must be domiciled in the district which you represent or you seek to represent, and prior to the elections, there was prior to the older constitution, there was a provision that you must have real estate.
Hmm. Yeah.
You were required to own a certain value of real estate within your district. And there's an argument that this was preventing poor people from becoming representative. What would you say to that argument?
So it's a complicated argument. I mean, the premise on that is that the person must be vested in the community.
Correct.
That is the idea. So
But doesn't that make sense?
that's the idea. So it makes sense. When the person owns property in the community, when the person lives in the community, then the person will have interest in the welfare of the community.
Correct.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. However, the other argument which you raised was, well, if you say everybody must own property in the place, then how about the poor people who are unable to build houses, to buy lands and own property? And what exactly is property? I think that's where the argument should be. So let's say Cyrus Gray lives in St. J. He's renting an apartment in St. J. He doesn't own the home he lives in. Is he ineligible to run for representative or to run for something in
I think
St.
he
J
should be ineligible.
because he doesn't own a home?
He is not vested.
So, but how about the fact that he lives there? His children live there. He goes to hospital there. His children go to school there. Isn't that being vested in, for example, making sure that the healthcare system in the place is good so that he himself and his family can benefit? Making sure that the education system is good so his children can benefit? Making sure that the roads are good so he can drive on
But
them?
also, I believe that in spite of that, those are things that are shared by that are common to everybody, but there's nothing that holds him to that community.
So basically, you're saying, I mean, well, again, I'm not taking a position. I think the other both sides have legitimate concerns, but but I think the argument on the one side is you must be vested. The argument of the other side is that it creates inequality.
So it excludes people, right?
Yes, yes.
But I would double down on the look at what we have today.
Mm,
Almost 100%, or at least almost, of the legislature, especially the lower house, is made of sons of indigenous tribes who, in the Liberian psyche, are considered poor people.
mm,
What do they do when they go to the legislature?
mhm,
90% of them, they spend time trying to get money.
mhm.
They're not interested in the deliberations. They participate in getting approval for concessions that in the end are not in the interest of the people. I think it feeds directly into what the framers put in that the Constitution earlier, that the people who should represent all of us
Mm-hmm.
should be so vested in the community that they will have, and that the decisions they make, they will know that it affects them.
Yeah. I don't think investors should be based upon wealth and property and
Oh,
stuff.
but who owns wealth is the key. Who own the wealth in any
So
country
so
is the
so
indigenous people. The wealth is the land, Alfonso.
yeah, so here is the other issue that was being considered as well. And I think it still does exist in Liberia today to some extent. I know we fought on it in the 1990s with the Association of Female Lawyers. So for example, women traditionally in Liberia were considered properties themselves, correct? So when the husband dies, another person from the family takes over the woman just as they take over the house and they take over everything.
Hmm.
The woman, for example, didn't have that power to run for office or to occupy stuff because they were not owners of property. They themselves were property. Their husbands owned the property. When the husband died, the husband brother take the house and the woman and the children.
But there is a logic to that, though.
Okay. I don't know if we want to go down that rabbit hole
There's
or
a
we
lot.
just want to talk
The
about the
logic to that is
legislature.
basically it's in our tradition, even
Yeah.
in the Western tradition,
Yeah.
especially in the South. You see them preaching that there is a notion that the estate is responsible for the well-being of the woman.
Yeah. So
So the woman doesn't necessarily have to own property.
so so
Property will take care of her.
So I would like us to discuss the legislature today and bring that particular topic up another day
Okay.
because that would take us away from discussing the legislature. Except you want us to have that.
No, no, no. Okay,
Uh,
so let's go to the other attribute, the power of the House. These are specific power that the House of
but
Representative has.
sorry, before we go to the powers, I heard you talking about nowadays we see people, quote unquote, children of the less, I mean, what called poor people children getting elected. And
Mhm.
what do you see as the motivation now? What motivates people? A lot of people now to be going into the legislature.
I think most people in the Liberian legislature, if I'm making that assessment from history, recent history, most people look at the legislature as an opportunity to get wealthy.
So they're not more of a public service no more.
No, correct. Look at
So
the condition of our country. Look at the powers they have. Look at what they allow to happen. Even in the face of, because one of the responsibilities they have is oversight. Everything in the country is in some state of dysfunction. Even graveyards are trash all over the place. There is no mitigation from the legislature. You would think that the legislature, the best you will hear is, oh, let's cite the minister or transportation because of the traffic today, or let's cite the minister of justice because nothing comes of that. Now, how are they formulating laws to be able to address those inadequacies? Nothing.
So I want to say two things to that. Point number one, I want to speak to the issue of the people in legislature or in government positions who are not performing or who are stealing money are indigenous sons. Yeah, I want to speak to that a little bit. I don't think they're doing what they are doing because they're indigenous, and I don't want to link that to the fact that they are indigenous either, because I believe that there are some indigenous out there where when they assume those offices will do way better than what these people are doing. So indigenous shouldn't be a factor in terms of evaluating their performance or lack of performance.
All right, that's
Um,
a sentimental statement, though.
yeah, I understand. I understand that. I understand that. Part of it is that some of these people don't even know what they're supposed to be doing in the legislature. That's part of the reason that they lack that knowledge and expertise. Part of it is just pure blank corruption and the fact that the society is decayed to the extent that there's no accountability. And
Accountability.
and then we follow these people and just cheer them and cherish them
There are no
because
consequences. Yeah.
no consequences. These same people come to our churches and they become the father of the year and mother of the year because they can bring $501,000. They come to our schools. They are the guest speakers. I don't know when last, Cyrus, maybe you have, that you have been invited to be guest speaker at any
No, nobody came. I'm the biggest bigger.
because you don't get money to get in to do their project. But we know who they invited. The same representative who are depriving them of the resources that they need to run their schools or to have a clinic. That the society, and it's a combination of factors: ignorance, but also just years of the patronage system. Has this people are just used to my representatives are to bring me food to eat. It's opposing on my house. It's about those are the issues. Those are the problems that is exactly where we are. So it's not an indigenous problem per se, because even before the indigenous came on the scene, this happened as well. The people who were there also took everything onto themselves.
Well, not to this extent. I think.
But
Oh, I think more than this extent. Again, it can be another argument. I mean, I didn't see many schools or roads outside of Monrovia of major cities before indigenous before Tottenham took over, and eventually before indigenous people took over.
Yeah.
For centuries,
Mhm.
my father walked from where he was born in refugee country to Maryland to live with somebody to go to school. I'm sure that happened in Bonk and Nimba and Lofa.
Yeah.
It was the Lutheran people went there before the people got education opportunities and all of that. So
Yeah, the church were ahead of the government.
exactly. So I think more so than now. I think more so than now. But we can have that conversation if this is the time to have it. But I think
Okay. But I tell you what, let's take some heat out of the discussion.
yeah,
Listen to this Liberian artist, and we'll come out.
yeah,
We'll come right
yeah.
back.
Cowboy. Rich man, rich man. Before they go see me, I go run. Challenge see me, I go run. But failure see me, I go baba. Cause I'm a beauty baba. Sickness go see me, I go run. But also when I see my face so hot time when I know my place so. Cause I'm a beauty baba. I'm a brand new man, I am a king. I'm born again, never the same. Holy one, yes, you never change. Your words are everlasting. Holy go fire, fire. eh. I salute you, ancients of days. You never let me down again. I'm enjoying my heritage. Before they go see me, I go run. Challenge see me, I go run. But failure see me, I go baba. Cause I'm a beauty baba. Sickness go see me, I go run. But also when I see my face so hot time when I know my place so. Cause I'm a beauty baba. I'm from above and not beneath. I'm a victor, I never lose so. Take a very good at me. I'm walking wisdom every day. I see my blessings falling, change my morning into dancing. I'm changing my level, you will never see me to struggle. Before they go see me, I go run. Challenge see me, I go run. But failure see me, I go baba down. Cause I'm a beauty baba. Sickness go see me, I go run. But bouncer when I see my face so hot time when I know my place so. Cause I'm a beauty baba. Holy Ghost fire. Holy Ghost fire. Holy Ghost fire. Holy Ghost fire. Counting my blessings. Devil move from behind me. Holy Ghost fire. You don't know me. Ghost fire. Holy Ghost fire. Challenge see me, I go run. But failure see me, I go baba down. Cause I'm a beauty baba. Sickness go see me, I go run. But bouncer when I see my face so hot time when I know my place so. Cause I'm a beauty baba. My God can tell me you always with me. You never leave me.
Well, if you're just joining us, this is Election Central. We're discussing the Liberian Legislature today, and I'm here with my co-host, Afonso Yuno. We have a guest panelist, Agasida Johnson. I got a little bit heated just now, so we had to cool it off, right? Okay. Okay, so let's go. Let's continue on the powers of the legislature. Okay. So the Constitution grants the House the sole power to impeach the president, vice president, judges, upon the concurrence of 2/3 of its members. You think about that. That means they even have the power if they can get 2/3 of the vote. 2/3 would be what?
So the Constitution grants the House the power to. So it's the House. The House is about
33.
73. So 2/3 would be about, I would say, 60
About
at
50.
least. Huh?
About 50. Think about it. You got to
About
divide,
50. Yeah, about
divide
50.
73 into 3 parts. That's
Yeah.
25, 25, 25. That's
Yeah.
75. So 50.
So about 50, 52, 50. Yeah, thereabout. Yeah.
50 members of the legislature can impeach the president.
Of the 50 members of the House of Representatives.
The House of Representatives.
Yep. Can impeach the
Wow.
president and vice president and judges upon the
Do they, do,
concurrence of.
do they know that? Yeah, I know they impeached Cabinet Janet.
Yeah. So obviously they are aware of that.
In,
If they
in
want
the
to
modern
disclose
data, I
their
haven't
plan.
seen it yet.
Sorry, go ahead, Brother Johnson.
No, I said in the modern data, I haven't seen it yet happening because some of the president had grossly
I don't-
violated the Constitution. You can hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, I said some of them have grossly violated the Constitution, but we don't see this happening. What happened?
It seemed more than not that the impression is that the president controls the legislature rather than the legislature keeping the president in check.
Yeah.
I can hear even kids president holding money away from the legislature.
Exactly. So
Wow.
that really takes us back again to the question that was posed from the beginning, regarding the quality of people we elect to the legislature. Because the quality of people we elect to the legislature will matters in a way that it determines whether they're even aware of their power and what they can do to exercise the power, and whether they don't fall under the control of the president. So a lot of people don't even know. And
Yeah.
and in many cases, those who know are just there for the money. They're just there for the money, because it's not difficult to know, right? It's not difficult to just pick up the Constitution and read it. That's all you need to do. If you pass junior high school, you should be able to read this thing and understand it and know what it is. And so yes, not knowing is one of the things I think they don't know, but I also think it's more than not knowing. It's just about what they can get for themselves. They don't care about the people. So even if they decide to say something against the president or do whatever, and the speaker or even the president offer a call and say, "Hey, my man, you gotta stop. You don't stop today. You will not get that envelope. You will not get this thing." Then they stop. I mean, just look at what just happened recently. My information is that the $65 million loan that was just taken by the government, I understand has been approved or is on the verge of being approved by the national legislature, is to pay salaries of civil servants. How in the name of hell we collecting all these taxes, these royalties, and everything? We don't have money to pay civil servants, and we're supposed to borrow money. How sustainable is that even? How sustainable? So every month we got borrow money to pay civil servant every month. Are we a
And we have
country?
all the apparatus, government,
Yeah,
and resources to produce
yeah,
wealth.
yeah.
We are compensating for our corruption and incompetence,
Incompetent.
and committing the country. I mean, I was hearing from one
Yeah,
of the representatives that agreement keeps us on the hook up till 2070 something.
exactly, exactly. And imagine the penalties we will pay. The interest we pay on our loan.
Yeah,
I
we'll
mean,
pay
it's
3 4 times
crazy.
that amount of money.
Yeah, it
And
is crazy.
that's they're stealing from the future. They're stealing from the children. That's what they're really doing. Because they're not going to be around 20 years from now. There will be
No,
different people who will be burdened with this. I mean, I understand our indebtedness has even moved up to about 2 point something $billion already.
already, exactly,
So,
exactly.
guys, how you think, are there ways to make the legislature unattractive? Because,
Unattractive.
yeah, because nowadays you see people running there because they mainly be motivated by the wealth, the money.
So when you say unattractive, can you expand on that a little?
Like let's look at the salaries and benefits.
Yeah,
So like they're trying to slash it. We're not
yeah,
making it unattractive for people.
yeah. But who has the power to slash it? That is the problem.
Because they themselves make their own salaries and allowances.
So one of the persons that has the power to slash legislator salary is the president, not directly. So the president cannot go and say, no, we'll call your pay. This is not what you're making because they control the purse strings, right? But the president can do it politically. So the president can say, maybe the legislature puts a budget in front of him and he sees their salaries is $15,000 a month, $20,000 a month. He can hold a press conference, address the nation, whatever, and say, I am not signing this budget to give legislature $15,000 or $20,000 a month. Why we don't have a clinic in Feasible, we don't have medicine, a hospital in Vanjama. So you're from Feasible and Vanjama and Grand Jita and Nimba who don't have these services. Why your legislator making these tons of money? You'll call on them to withdraw that money right now, or I will not sign this budget. And even go around, I've seen that. I've seen President Bill Clinton do that. He toured the United States of America. He went to districts where legislators who were putting these things in the budget came from and spoke to their people. I've seen President Barack Obama do that. He went to these places and said, your representatives say we must cut this from the budget. If we cut it, it means your children will not have meals at school. It means we will not have this. Call them. So the president can use the bullet pulpit of the presidency and mobilize the power of the people to force legislators to do that, Brother Johnson, as you're saying. But other than that, there's no real human being that can sit down and set the legislators' salaries because they make the budget. So, but when they make the budget, the president has to sign it before it becomes law and it becomes effective. So
Right.
therefore, the president then can use that opportunity to do that. So now that takes us to the quality of president that we have who's capable of doing that.
I mean, where as we have it now, the president and the legislature, they almost are the same level in the collaboration.
They ain't bad. They other than sleeping
Facilitating,
on the other than sleeping on the same bed.
yeah, facilitating the suffering of the rest of the people.
Yeah.
So look at the Senate, right? The Senate, all the eligibility is the same except for the age, right?
Hmm.
So the legislature is 25 years and the Senate is 30
30.
years. And there are 30 senators, two senators from each county. Again, before they were the senators were required to manifest the ownership of some real property, but that is not necessary now. So anybody who's 30 years old, a Liberian citizen living in the county, can contest for the Senate. But a strange thing is happening though. Why they are taking away? Why the Constitution have taken away this requirement? The Elections Commission or the legislature, I think, recently passed a bill where they pushed the registration fees for eligible candidates way up, trying to get the same effect of making sure that you ain't got money. Yeah, you you shouldn't come around. I don't know whether that was passed into law or it was rejected or something. I don't know, but I will look that over. Okay, so the powers of the Senate. So the Senate must approve, like the House, any treaties or international agreement signed by the president. The Senate, should the president veto any bill passed by the House and the Senate, the veto may be overturned by a vote of two-thirds of the members of each chamber. The president's appointments. Listen to this. First thing, if the president is making a move that they don't want, they can pass a bill to control that. If the president don't sign it, they can come back and they can generate a two-third majority vote and override the president. All right.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Then the president appointments. The Senate has to confirm the president's appointment. That means they can tell the president no. So this is a major element of safeguard that they have.
Yep.
That is intended to prevent the president from overreach, from making decisions that would negatively impact the people. It's a used. I mean, we've seen people appointed into positions of responsibility with minimal or no qualification at all, and they get confirmed. Yeah,
And we got some senators in there who can just say, "Hey, my man, you pass. You
yeah.
qualify."
In fact, there's a deal I think with Nathan TGS and other people. It's condition for passing the people that will say that they will get job to the people. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
TJ. I've heard
So,
him say some of those things before, and it's embarrassing.
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
embarrassing. But yeah.
The
But
Senate
that's
the Senate is also responsible to try the president, vice president, or judges in the event that they have been impeached by the House of Representatives.
yes.
And then we got a list of senators, here. We're going to go into shortly some specifics about the actual players and some of the events there at the Senate. There's something you wanted to say, Alfonso?
No. I was going to agree to say yes. That is a profound power that they have, the power to confirm, because once again, even though the president has the authority to run the executive branch of government, the the legislature is not even left out of running the executive branch of government. The executive, the legislature controls
Yeah.
who becomes hired, who gets hired by the president in the executive branch of government. In addition, of course, to making sure that those people implement the statutory duties of carrying on the functions of their office by forcing them to report to them and by having oversight over them. And then when they don't do a good job, by holding them accountable.
Accountable.
Yeah.
Correct. Up to the president himself.
Up to the president himself.
So the concept again, if we put a summary over it, the concept is basically that the power is in the hands of the people.
Yes.
Once they elect the president, during the period of the president's tenure, the people power is transferred to the legislators
Yep.
who now represent the people.
Mhm.
And that means it's not that you got to wait for election. If you elect the right representatives, they will do the people's job in keeping the president and the government in compliance and
Yeah.
seeking value for the people within the tenure of the president. That's why they have the authority and the power to remove the president. They have to approve the president's decisions. They have to approve the money that the president can use. They
Yeah.
have to approve the people that the president hires. If they're not satisfied, they can remove the president. Uh,
Yeah.
uh, these are enormous responsibilities, my man. I don't because if this thing were ideally performed by a legislature, then you got guarantee of good governance.
Yes. The key for good governance, 50% of the key for good governance
In the
lies in the
middle
hands of the legislature.
of
50%. The other 25% is in the hands of the executive, and the other 25% is in the hands of the judiciary. Because really, how many cases go to the court concerning good governance? Very few. Basically, what goes to the courts for interpretation and stuff is, the constitutional disputes and those kinds of things. If the legislature was actually holding the executive accountable, you have the recipe for good governance right there. We don't have that. And part of the problem is the caliber, once again, the caliber of people we elect to be our representatives, to be our senators. That is the problem. That is
The
the problem.
caliber, the caliber of people. Why you are there? Let me leave you. Let me take that as a sequel to let us see the our 54th legislature in
Yeah,
section
yeah,
sample of our legislature.
yeah,
This matter, I want to see how I'm voting. Yes. That any vote on this matter will be by hair count. And that the rule be suspended, send the closing today. That any motion for our readiness, any motion be for reconsideration, be tested here today.
Well, let's well, that's a little bit a piece of the legislature. You ought to laugh.
yeah.
But they got ground rules, though.
That's
Are they violating any ground rules?
well, I
Well,
don't know. I mean, I don't know the ordinary Joe sitting somewhere in Julie Camp would be very happy to know that the people who's supposed to be deciding for a well-being are how they're conducting themselves.
and I don't know, Brother Jackson, whether they are violating rules or not. I'm assuming they're violating the rules of decorum, but I don't even know if a structure was put into place to make sure that decorum is in place. I've seen debates that have gone rowdy all over the world sometimes, but that's an exception to the rule. When
Yeah.
people are debating these things, they have time to speak. Everybody get 5 minutes or 3 minutes to speak or whatever. If it's not your time to speak, you turn your button off or they turn your button off. And people debate. It's a deliberative house or it's a deliberative place. I'm not sure anything came out of that thing they were doing over there. I believe it ended in commotion. So once again, the people's job was not done, and whatever the status quo remains. You know what? You know what that creates. If certain thing comes on the floor and I don't want a resolution to it, I can just jump in and cause commotion, and then we enter in commotion. We all go home, and that's not implemented. Yeah, so
Everyone
it's
be
simple.
accountable for the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So the next thing I wanted to talk about is a little more specific on the actual conduct of some of the members of the legislature. So I'm going to pull out a slide that deal with just that, the conduct of and conduct in terms of morality, or the image in the public space, uh, and all that, and even in spite of that, in cases where there is some negative imaging, it does not hamper the electability of some of these candidates.
No,
No, it does not.
it's not a factor.
It does not. It does not at all. So the role, the record, morality, elections. So one of the things that is a common reprieve in the Liberian legislature is I listed there is a limited review of legislation. We've had cases of where bills are passed, concession agreements are signed and ratified. We're talking about recent loan agreement, which I get from you, Alfonso, more than likely will be approved. That's claimed by some representative, including Yeke Kolba, that they didn't have the time to look at it, and it was just rammed down their throat. I think they
Mm,
said in the Liberian legislature they called it 6G or something.
mm.
It passed by 6G. The violations of the Constitution,
Yeah.
which we've seen glaringly, conflict of interest that you can easily attribute in many cases, and then you have elected officials who are serving, even though being condemned by even countries like the United States, serving, and they are under foreign sanctions. I mean, as derogatory as these elements are, they're basically attributes that you can affix to our legislature. Yep, I got a couple of the guys here, our senators and representatives. Fanny Shermer, for example. I mean, an eloquent, good lawyer. Today, he doesn't have his law firm.
No.
He lost his law firm in less than 48 hours. So he had some of the best lawyers. He had most of the big clients in Liberia. I mean, if you say ArcelorMittal, APM Terminus, or Golden Ferrero, or BRE, Buchanan Renewable, Firestone, all those were and more were Fanny Sherman's client on the Sherman and Sherman law firm. Less than 48 hours after he was sanctioned, his entire team went across the road and opened a new law firm headed by Moses Pega, who was his managing director. They have a whole new law firm. They have tried, at least in the public space, to make sure that they dissociate with Fanny Sherman. Why? Because their very survival
Yep.
depends on it as a business, because part of the condition of the U.S. Sanction from the Treasury Department is anybody doing business with a sanctioned person risks losing doing business with the United States government. So Vanish Sharma is still serving his position as senator, even under the this sanctions condition. And not I mean, look, I had when I went to Liberia to provide consultancy for the port. Vanish Sherman was then not senator; he was chairman of the Unity Party. But the APM terminus that was negotiating to take over our port was officed in his facility, and he was their lawyer. And not only that he was the lawyer, but he was also a part of their negotiating team across the table from the government of Liberia. Why still chairman of the ruling party? I mean, think about that. How that doesn't represent conflict of of interest. Some would say we had a discussion on one of our sections early in the year, and one of the panelists argued that, oh, the mayor is not an official of government. What would you say to that, Alfonso?
So it's not. He was not an official government at the time, but it's difficult to divorce his influence from over the government and government officials from the mere fact that his political party was the ruling party.
That's the ruling party.
Yeah, and his political party as the ruling party, a lot of the people that were working in government, A, were either members of his political party, or B, would whether so ethics is not just direct control. That's what people fail to understand. It's implied as well. So for example, Dan, if I disagree with Vanis Sherman, who's chairman of the Unity Party, the ruling party, will I lose my job? What will happen? Will he go
Alfonso,
down?
let
Yeah.
me tell you something. It's as though you were in the room.
Oh, okay.
So,
All right.
so if the IMCC, which is the government's committee made out of all the big ministers,
Yeah.
were negotiating for the government, if the managing director or the port authority made a strong point, claims that she was making that the port was entitled to in an agreement, and Fanny Sharma said, "Oh man, come on, man! I'll be in this president office when you come for your matching orders."
What?
Yeah, you're not going to push that thing on us here. Then the rest of the ministers and things say, the chairman at all.
Thank you. And they fall in line. So I don't know. Oh God, my Jesus.
And I asked him during one of the breaks, I went in here and said, "But Councillor Sherman, as the chairman of the ruling party, don't you think it's a conflict of interest for you to be sitting here and there are only three representing APM terminal, three white guys,
Yeah.
one Indian lawyer, two American guys, and Vani Sherman. On the other side of the table, you got almost 18 government officials from all the different ministries, Minister of Justice." And I said, you don't think, even if these were your client,
Mm-hmm.
you have a pool of lawyers in there.
Yeah.
You don't think you send somebody there at least to give the impression of propriety.
Exactly.
If that day he paid for the lunch, they brought collard greens or something that day. He paid for it. He brought the catering. You know what he answered me? He looked at me and said, he said, "Young man, so I wouldn't make a living?"
Really?
That's exactly what he told me. So I wouldn't
I
make a
can't
living.
make a living?
Yeah.
But the law firm belongs to you. You can
I
send
believe,
one.
I believe that he didn't see anything wrong with it, what he was doing.
No, he saw nothing wrong with it. Yeah, absolutely.
You know that months later, the same president Sirleaf now apparently when it fell off, would come back and accuse him of hybrid. You remember that case they had? They called Big Ball 1 and Big Ball 2.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's Councilor Sherman.
Don't even touch that. Different
Then you got the former Unity Party, Liberty Party's chairman Funati.
Yeah. For
Kofa.
a takeover. Yeah.
He is the deputy speaker of the house.
Yep. There's
Funati is on record to have been charged and convicted of theft in the United States, and I think he even served prison term.
Yeah. Yeah.
Returned to Liberia, and Ellie made him her personal lawyer.
She was legal. He was legal counsel to Ellen Sirleaf. Yeah.
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 If
And
you
he became chairman of Liberty Party, Bromskim's Liberty Party.
even put the resources in his hand to prosecute Fanny Sherman on the big ball, small ball thing. Remember that?
Exactly. So he made a lot of money and ran to Grand Crew to use some of the money to buy votes and become representative.
He's one of the most influential person in government right now, and continuously wealthy. I mean, you go into the rehab road, he has a mansion opposite George Weah's house.
Okay.
I mean, right, glaringly in the face of everybody. A white 2-story colonial mansion.
Okay.
All fenced in. Then my own friend and brother Edwin Snow. Right? I don't know how much I can say to that. I know of late he has been in the news. He is the one who is claimed to have. In fact, I will let the guy from Bumi, who has been pushing the advocacy against Snow on this Alenito matter. I would like the guy speak for himself. Let's hear what he has to say.
So, folks, we're in conversation with Mr. Charles Brown. He's the chairperson of the Western Cluster. That's the citizens of Bumi County. He's the chairperson of the citizens of Bumi County to impeach Senator Edwin Melvin Snow of Bumi County. So Mr. Charles Brown will speak to us briefly on KMTV and Vaspoon as well. Mr. Charles Brown, welcome to KMTV.
Thank you very much. Thank you for affording me the opportunity. As you can see, my physical morphology speaks to the fact that we are in a battle. We are in a battle, and we must end that battle. Meaning, I just returned from the county because of national duty. Being the deputy director of press at Liberian Sunday, I needed to come and perform my national duty. So, as you can see, I have come to the public to display what we intend to do to Honorable Edwin Melvin Snow. This time, he will not go unpunished. There are too many things he be doing in the country, and people just leave it. So he been claiming himself as a hero. Looking at what we are about to do, it will be a precedent set, and we're going to set that precedent. Honorable Snow, sometime last year, led a team of government officials, including himself, to India to arrange the coming back of Western Cluster. But before last year, we had a deal signed by the National Legislature printed into handbill called the MDA from the Western Cluster, from Eninito to the Western Cluster. Western Cluster coming to Liberia. Before leaving, Western Cluster decided that they wanted to truck the iron ore. And by then, under the Salif government, we vehemently opposed the trucking of iron ore from Bumi to Monrovia. On the basis of that, we decided to go to a town in Dowen district called Jongoba, where Western Cluster agreed to have built a mini port and do the railroad from the MAM to the port to ship the iron ore of Liberia. We left on it until the Ebola came and Western Cluster left. So up to last year, Honorable Snow was brave to have gone with the Minister of Lands, Mines and Energy to negotiate the coming back of Western Cluster, for which we embrace. We thought it had some good motive. We thought the coming back of Western Cluster are going to provide job opportunity for our people. We are going to provide bigger opportunity in terms of education to upgrade our community college to a 4-degree college. We talk about the hospital. We thought Western Cluster are going to provide some medical equipment and even increase the facility of the hospital in Bumi County. But to dismay, none of these things happened. When Western Cluster returned, instead of Western Cluster starting full operation on the MDA, Honorable Snow, along with other government officials, turned the MDA down and came down with a memorandum of understanding where the memorandum of understanding did not state any benefit for the people of Bumi. So we as citizens have seen the operation of Western Cluster for good 9 months now in Liberia, and the people of Bumi stands to benefit anything. So on the basis of that, we called the Bumi Legislative Caucus 4 Saturdays ago. Honorable Snow admitted to being the chief negotiator at the time because the chairperson of the caucus, Honorable Maurice Setuma, was present. And then Honorable Snow agreed that he was mandated by his colleagues from the Bumi Legislative Caucus to be the chief negotiator for the coming of Western Cluster. In the negotiation, Honorable Snow was brave to tell the people of Bumi and Liberia at large that Western Cluster was owing the people of Bumi and Liberia $24 million, but because he wanted Western Cluster to come by, he waived $14 million. We asked him, who gave you the authority to waive our money? He also mentioned that Western Cluster have paid to central government $5 million, and up to present, as I speak today, Western Cluster have not remitted the money into the 3 counties account. To have seen Honorable Snow mounting the podium from radio station to radio station, even the day of the opening year, when the legislature opened in the chamber of the Senate, he 5 minutes given him. He said he asking his colleagues, he asking the Senate pro tempore to tell the Ministry of Finance to remit the money in our account, our $5 million. For me, I took it as a charade. I took it as a main bluff. Honorable Snow should muster the courage to write a communication on the floor, summon the Minister of Finance to come here to show cause why they have not remitted those money in our accounts. Besides that, Western Cluster gave up 5 scholarships to the sons and daughters of Bumi to have gone to India for studies. To our dismay, Honorable Snow recruited people from his office and posted on a Facebook page that he the one sponsoring those students to India. Why will you sponsor students to India to go do first degree when you got a lot of students from Bombay who got first degree who are going to do masters? Honorable Snow single-handedly went to a MOU. We agree he's not signatory to the MOU. Let's agree is that a debate. We agree that he's not signatory. But Honorable Snow is aware of the MOU. Honorable Snow got a stake into the MOU. He has a stake.
Well,
The people are joking in our country.
you guys are mad at Snow, right?
Those guys are joking in our country. Man.
Well, there's a whole lot more to say about Snow, but we'll leave it at that. Go to Chair. Chair is the president pro temp of the Senate. And the last I checked, the U.S. ambassador had come out and said that the legislature was apportioning money for itself. Yet, basic needs at hospitals around the country were not met. And the chair's reply to that, a derogatory reply to the ambassador, who he said, in fact, he put him off in business, he had nothing putting him off in, was that if the ambassador would look around a little bit, he would see the projects that he chair and other people are doing. Is it their role to do projects? Is that an excuse?
That's not even that doesn't even come close to their roles and responsibilities to do projects. It's not your role as a senator to do project. When you're doing project, maybe you're just doing it on your own. It got nothing to do with your role or whatever the case may be.
Or using government money to do projects, that's not your role.
And that is the corruption that's undermining democracy and development in Liberia. Again, let's go back to separation of powers. Let's go to 3 branches of government and let's go to checks and balances. Each branch of government has a role to play. The reason that is done is to ensure accountability across the board. The legislature passes the budget and appropriates the money. The executive implements the projects and reports back to the legislature. When legislators are undertaking projects, are giving money, who do they report to?
Correct.
What if they don't undertake those projects?
They break the accountability chain.
The accountability chain is broken right there. So the money goes. So senators and representatives receive $60,000 for development fund. What if they decide not to even undertake development in their districts? Who will ask them? Who would they report to? And that's exactly what's happening. So some of the legislators receive the money, they do nothing with it. Some of them take the money, they receive $30,000 every quarter, $60,000 every quarter. They take $500 and carry it to one school and give it, $200 and give it to another school.
$60,000 as a development money?
Yes. Then they hold the other $30,000 or $20,000 in their pockets. Wow. Who's going to ask them to make report? They don't make reports. So there's no accountability of the people's resources. That's the first thing. So
let's listen to your friend.
Here we come to you live from the Temple of Justice.
Talking about morality.
Where a Liberian based in the United States of America has dragged Senator of Sano County, Milton Tiaje, for an alleged criminal act of which she says that the senator criminally is claiming ownership of her vehicle recently shipped through the senator free duty procedures as inscribed by the legislature. So, madam, welcome to our microphone. Can we just know you firstly?
First of all, my name is Patricia Flomo, born citizen of Liberia, and yeah.
Okay. How long you been in Liberia for?
I've been here now since the 18th of October, during TAJ. So, based on the friendship, Patrick Tiaje, I trusted him to give my vehicle to him. And he even came to me and said, "Oh, you shipping?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Oh, since you're shipping, my brother can be the one to clear this vehicle on your behalf because he got privilege too." And I'm like, "Oh, really?" He said, "Yes. It's not that I never had money to pay to clear my car after buying and do all the shipping and stuff like that." So that's how I gave him the paperwork, the bill of lading, to give it to his brother Milton Teje, whatever their relationship is, as he told me, and, to clear the car. So after he took the paperwork to clear the car was not cleared on time. The shipper did not clear the car on time. After I oversee December, January, I went back. When I went back, Nathan Tiaje was able to clear the car on March 3rd of 2021. So when he cleared the car, he called me. He said, "Oh, I
Hmm.
got your
What's
car."
your
I said, "Okay, keep it. I will send somebody for it." So my father, that car was for my father. And as a single dad raising, children, I bought it for him. And unfortunately, he got sick. So when I called TJ, he never responded to me. Instead, he gave the phone to his legal office assistant, Jay Maxwell Tolu, to talk to me about the matter. And I addressed my car issue, to him, to talk to Milton, to give him my car. After that, he said, "Oh, Milton said he should back up." And I talked to a couple of people that know the Milton Teje man. After my father passed, I came to bury my father. I tried reaching out, I brought him to justice, and it's still, penny running here and there.
So which one of the car in question are we talking about?
BMW X5, body type, badge.
What will be the cost of that?
The
cost of the car.
Oh, the cost of the car is over 20,000. Yep.
In the US.
Yes.
Okay, I listened to you talk.
You hear that? So one of the things the representative do is in the law too, that they're entitled to duty-free privileges. So he let a guy ship her car through him, or maybe she's shipping and she was catching a hard time, and he used his duty-free privilege to free the car from the port. And he probably looked at the car and he liked it, and he took possession of the car.
So the idea of the duty-free privilege is being abused. The idea of duty-free privilege is for these representatives and senators to help their constituencies. And certain things are covered under the duty-free privilege. For example, an organization wants to ship drugs or whatever to the hospital or clinic in your place, want to send agricultural products, want to help the community. These are things you should be using, not using the duty-free privilege to get money from people, private money, use it to make money, which is what they're doing. So somebody want to ship, they say, "Oh, I gave you my duty-free privilege. Send out $1,000, you got to pay, just give me 700 or 600. So that's horrible. And very quickly, before Brother Johnson comes in, because I see him shaking his head like he want to say something, that was during the coronavirus. Was it coronavirus or Ebola? I'm not sure. But MyGibi, there was a MyGibi organization, I'm not going to say names, that wanted to ship supplies to the hospital, healthcare supplies to MyGibi counter to help the people of MyGibi. They call upon a certain senator of MyGibi county to use his duty-free privilege to help them ship the supplies to help the people of MyGibi. This senator refused because they were selling their duty-free. He refused to help the organization to ship the supplies. They had to go to an international NGO that was operating in Bond County. And this international NGO said, "Oh, we can ship the supplies, but we operate in Bong, not in MyGibi. So if we ship the supplies, you have to agree that we take some of the supplies to Bong County as well."
Wow.
So this MyGibi association in America had to agree to split the supplies that they had gathered for the people of MyGibi with the people of Bong, which is not a bad thing, by the way. But that was the only way they could get this.
And when the elected representative had the privilege that were provided
Yes.
to deal with just that, he couldn't do it.
Absolutely. So again, I don't understand whether these guys are even human beings, whether they sit down and think about their roles and responsibilities.
Well,
But
I think it's all about getting rich quickly, man.
yeah, I don't know.
Johnson, you wanted to say something, consider? We can't hear you. You're mute.
Actually, it has to do with my core message today about the quality of candidates that we make to the legislature. You know, but all of that action impact us in a negative way. You have a legislator getting involved in the conflict of interest and duty-free privilege abuse. All of these things impact us in a very negative way. You know.
And then we come back to the other thing we're talking about. Don't you think that poverty also incentivizes these kinds of behavior? But I mean, I take my question back. What's poverty? I mean, this guy is making $12,000 to $15,000 a month, right?
So the legislator is not poor by Liberian standards. So yeah, so he's not poor. He's just extremely corrupt. And I've listened to a few confirmation hearings where Milton Tiaje is a friend. I know Milton Tiaje personally. You know, I know Milton. I also remember very well when Milton Tiaje and Joe Mova were involved in a fist fight, fist fight, that's Ministry of Information. And we ended up, Milton Tiaje was taken to the Monrovia Central Prison. My organization, you know. Then I went to the Monrovia Central Prison. And this man was a born again, baptized human being who was going to work hard and commit his life to transforming the country. This is the man who's willing to approve anybody that's nominated, even if this person has not even started in first grade. I mean, this is
ridiculous. But even as a senator, if you would lay claim on a young lady's vehicle, I mean, how low can you take?
How low can you go? You have this new vehicle. They gave you the $40,000, $60,000 vehicle they gave you. Why are you taking somebody's car?
Wow.
Right. I mean, that's sad. These guys.
Then there is the issue of decorum. Pushes a part of morality, and I thought every now and then we hear the big argument against Yeke Kolba because of his verbiage,
Mm-hmm.
and he has been so notorious in his speech that we are forgetting the main proponent of the Liberian Legislature who speaks in such a manner, and I wanted us to run that too, so we'll see what it is.
Ladies and gentlemen of the press, welcome to
Solomon George.
The Honorable Solomon C. George office, and he has a press conference. He will be speaking on 4 issues. We have a central topic called "Where Were You?" The 4 topics are: you'll be responding to Spoon TV, LCC Communication, LCC, the sanction, Putu Mountain, the issue of the president and the CDC, and we throw light on the Liberian people. So we now take this time to welcome you all. Honorable George, it's over to you.
I would like to say a big thank you to you, members of the 4th Estate that are here. In conjunction with the document sent to me by the Liberia Council of Churches, the LCC, I would like to say that these people are in error. Why? It is a church. It is the Church of Liberia. As an elder of this country, I'm an elder, and an elder of the body of Christ. Then a parliamentarian or a legislator, if and when I do any wrong, the biblical way to solve this problem is that this particular fool, Reverend Reeves, who wrote this document on me, should have ordered me to meet them for a discussion and we talk. You are rebuking an elder of the church, an elder of the state, an elder in the country openly. So I will address them openly. They disrespect me, I will disrespect them. Ladies and gentlemen, you that are out there, the fourth estate, I want you to know this is not only an attack on Solomon George, it's a Calvary gathering by the enemies of Liberia to get rid of Ambassador George Mane as president of the Republic of Liberia. They see to it, they have smelt the stench of the 2023 election. They know Ambassador Weah is going to win very clearly. So what they want to do is disrupt the election. So they're looking for all the means, to the extent now they are bringing in the Grady Allison style of getting rid of people that are around the president so they can get rid of the president. To be frank, where were these people? The Liberian Council of Churches are now called, I call them now Liberian Satanic Council of Churches. Where were they when Prophet Keith has been, or Keith, or how you call it, Keith or Teeth or Nini has been insulting the president? All true. These 5 years the president has been in chair. Where were these fools? They never made one remark concerning that. Where were they when my son here, one of my legislators here in the House of Representatives, abuses the president on a daily basis? What have they said? Is there any statement they've made to that? Where were they when Costa alarmed and said, "My people, I am very sorry. We are sorry, but we are sorry because we were hiding Yeke. Yeke had a gun during the June 7 protest." What did this council of churches say? This satanic council of churches is being led by a sodomite. And he's asking me to apologize for my statement. You people listen to this. My statement was misconstrued, misunderstood, and wickedly torn apart by the Spoon TV being led by the owner, Witherspoon. Spoon TV, I do not think those guys that are on that TV, if they can't face you, but where I'm not afraid of any of you people. But the owner himself is whom I'm attacking now, the Spoon TV owner. Why, my brother, why you lack understanding? It is written in the Bible, wisdom is the principal thing, so get wisdom. But in all you're getting, get understanding. You lack understanding. You as a fourth estate member, a pressman, or whatsoever you call yourself, a hypocrite like you. Some of our ministers are paying you to be on the air. Again, I say some of our ministers are paying you to be on the air. You will not get a dime from Mel and me because I'm a broker. All what I get, I give to my people.
Remember the House of Representatives, I think, which the district that covers West Point.
West Point, yeah.
Yeah, he's a West Pointer, Solomon George. I mean, he's a little bit measured these days, though. You know, before Yeke, he was the man.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, he was the man. You want to hear some Google calls in the public space?
So Yeke, I wish Yeke will fine tune some of what he says. It's horrible the way he puts it out there and the way he says it. I don't know if he has any other way if he knows any other way to say it, you know, given the upbringing and the experience growing up and all of that, which I don't know, but I'm assuming. I would say though that okay.
Go ahead, Fanso.
I would say that maybe in this point, I would take the risk of saying it. I know it's a risky thing to say, but I would say that in this chapter, in this juncture, at this juncture of our national history, that we probably need a Yeke Koluba. We do. Yes. I'll take the risk. Disagree with me, guys.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome.
But I think our country needs maybe not this Yeke Koluba, but we need a Yeke Koluba.
Well, welcome, Francis. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Francis Hine. He's He's the former president of Liberian Association in Canada. I think you're in Ontario.
Yep.
Yeah, he was a panelist today, but he has some prior engagement to us. As soon as he gets through, he will join us. So I'd like to welcome you. There's a Fanso here, Consider here. If you could just, this is your first time on our show, so if you could just tell us a little bit about yourself, we would really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Can you hear me? Am I audible?
Loud and clear.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. I'm sorry for being this late. From my city to where I went to is an hour, 30-minute drive to pick up someone there and bring them back to where I am in London. So, and then I had to conduct one meeting on my way driving coming. Otherwise, I would have been in this meeting even
So
driving.
we got you. Don't worry. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Gray, for inviting me to this program today. I'm excited to be with you guys. I've been around the Liberian community for a little while. I was chairman of the Refugee Welfare Council in Bujumbura, Ghana. If any one of you were there between 1999 up to 2005, I was on that camp. I served as the Welfare Council chairman. I moved to Canada in 2005. I established, by 2014, I established the first national organization comparable to EULA in Canada. I serve as the founding chairman and president for the National Association. I've transitioned now. I serve on the board of directors, but I have new leadership. I like to bring young people on and get the opportunity to work. So Leo is currently the president. We're going to have another election to come. But I'm happy to be with you guys here. And then my area of study is in public administration. I study local government. And I always look at that as a foundation of the political system here in the Western world. Without the local government functionality and being very, very astute when it comes to Western politics, there will be no different from what we have in Africa. But because of the decentralization, things are working here fine.
Yeah,
So I'm
it's
happy to be
almost,
on your show today.
thank you. Thanks. And it's almost opposite to what we have. We have a central control,
Yeah.
highly much go down to the local level in terms of even resources or structure or administration because of the people. Fancy?
Although I would say, Cyrus, that we do have that structure, it's simply not just being implemented. So we have that structure in our system. If you look at the laws creating the city corporations and the counties, for example, those laws speak to local governance and structures. Yeah. So that's present. It's just not being implemented. And unfortunately, I don't remember the year, but when Ellen Salif took over and decided that they wouldn't have elections for city mayors, but that they would appoint city mayors, the CDC and the Liberty Party went to the Supreme Court, made a petition before the Supreme Court and said no, constitutionally city mayors should be elected. Unfortunately, the Johnny Lewis Court ruled that city mayors are supposed to be appointed, not elected. But that wasn't the practice before. You go to the acts establishing the city corporations, city mayors are supposed to be elected along with, in Liberia, we call it, the accurate in the council said common councils, which actually mean city council members like we have in all of our cities across Canada and the United States, etc. So hopefully we get to that point. Hopefully we elect politicians, especially in legislatures, and we discuss in legislature today, who will codify that and make sure that that happens. And I'm happy. I hope Brother Heenan will be very excited and happy if that were to happen.
Yeah, and
I will certainly be. And the system, the problem in Liberia when it comes to the decentralization, you probably grab it in the middle. If I would say you grab it in the waist right now, we're twisting it. And I agree with you. There was an act that established the Maria City Corporation. And if you go back in history and look at it, the Maria City Corporation is almost older than the Republic of Liberia from when it was established. And they used to call them the other men. You had to own property just like here.
Yeah.
And with the functionality of those institutions have been usurped. The last time we had a heated debate when it comes to the election of city mayors was under President Talbot. the election between Chuchu Horting and Amos Sawyer. I don't know how old you guys were,
Yep.
but we won that campaign. When Amos Sawyer challenged Chuchu Horting for
I
the mayor.
was born. I wasn't old enough, but I was born then.
Okay, good.
Yeah, Monrovia. Mhm.
So that campaign was heated. We were on Amos Sawyer campaign, making sure that Sawyer for mayor. That campaign was heated. We were testing democracy at the time. But then when they came to the point where the coup also, the first thing came with the April 12th race riot. Then the next thing followed was the following year was a military coup, and they just subsided and we didn't do nothing. But every time you talk about election, people will focus on the lot of money. I've ran election here in this country because I work in local municipalities and I work in the clerk's department office that's responsible for election. And I ran election here, and I know it costs almost a peanut to run an election, credible election. But because we are not prone to what the system is like, we always make it look so difficult. I wanted to come to where you are. If you look at Liberia, we have like a two-tier political system. You have the local government system that is controlled by our local chiefs. And we actually go to the extent of electing those chiefs. We elect the paramount chief, we elect the clan chiefs, we elect the general town chief. And they control their local government. But then we come to Monrovia, we appoint a district commissioner who usurp the position of all the locally elected chiefs. So if tomorrow we were to have a government or a leadership that is structured in a way of decentralization, I saw some papers that were written under the Ellen Johnson government, the way they were trying to work. I just look at it live. I said, you have the structure. All you have to do is implement it. Here we elect the mayor, the councilmen, and they run our cities, right? And then they appoint staff. I mean, they employ staff. You have a clerk, deputy clerk, and treasurers, and public works person, electricity, and they run the whole city for us. So what if we're in Liberia? We took the paramount chief that is elected as the head of the entire district. We consider him to be the mayor. And then the clan chiefs that are elected by the different clans. I come from former district. We have 5 clans, and we have 5 clan chiefs. And those 5 clan chiefs become the elected councilmen. Then the general town chiefs, because of the big town, add them to those 5 clan chiefs. You have just had a council. And then that group will now hire a qualified clerk that will be as the chief administrator for the district. And then you have somebody for public works, somebody for whatever the need is. Water, you put that structure in place and allow them to define the system that will run their city or their district amicably. And central government can get them support where the shortfall is. And they deal with their people. If they pay 5-cent tax, then that tax goes into that coffers and it's properly managed. You will not have to come to Monrovia to ask for medicine for a little clinic because they will have money to do it. That's what we do here. That's what we are doing here. All the houses that are built in the cities that you live in, whether you're in Texas, wherever city you're in, the taxes you pay goes to the city council. The city government is where take that money. That's at the revenue stream, beside every other funding that coming. And that's what they use to make sure their people have the necessary infrastructures and the necessary things that they need for the district to run. I said to someone 50 years ago, if you wanted to have electricity, you needed to have a large body of water to put all those gigantic equipment inside to run the hydro to get light. Today, you don't need it. You put a solar panel up, you have electricity. You put a windmill, you have electricity. And how do they call it here? Clean energy. Why are we not thinking that direction?
Yeah. We have the right environment to do that.
That's correct. It's because we don't have the leaders that are thinking.
So,
now, people run for positions. They want to be president. They want to be ministers. And I question some of the ministers, even in the direction. Even the thing we're discussing today, members of the legislature. Do they actually know what a legislative function is supposed to be?
So, Brother Hannah, I was going to bring you to that. So,
Yeah,
you're going into that. So
Yeah,
with
go ahead.
everything you just said, let's now go to the legislators,
Yes.
the people who are elected in the legislature
Yeah.
to represent these different communities and constituencies and stuff.
Yeah.
You mentioned a lot of key things that could be happening that are not happening. Why are they not happening, and how can that problem be remedied?
Okay. First thing is, in my view, there's a lack of knowledge for our elected officials. If you were to bring any of our legislators right now on this show and ask them to define their responsibilities as a legislature to the Republic of Liberia, I am very positive that none of them can adequately define their role that they're supposed to play as legislators in that house. That's the first default. And this goes to even people who run public corporations and ministries. You appoint Francis Hina as the minister of maybe local government. That ministry was established by by an act of the legislature. That act defines what the responsibility and the duties of that ministry is supposed to be. Francis Hina does not even have time to read that. He's looking at where money passes through the ministry to make a pipe to come to his pocket. That's our first failure.
Yep.
So that is the first handicap we have of most of these people that we have elected in our legislature. If they knew their function, they would
Brother Hina, I'm sorry to interrupt you. You really think that legislators don't know that they're supposed to pass budget, that they're supposed to put money in the budget for their communities, and that they're supposed to represent their people? You really think they don't know that? There's legislators in Liberia who don't know those three key functions of a legislator?
I will answer in the affirmative, and this is not political, but I will tell you yes. I know politicians don't answer questions yes or no, but I will tell you yes. I will tell you yes that those boys sitting in there, they don't know their left hand from their right hand. I can tell you that for sure. Because why? I've sat down with a couple of them, and I've had conversation with them, and I asked them the very question you're asking me. And the answers I got convinces me that these people don't know what they're supposed to be doing here. As far as they're concerned, in fact, not just from this one, even from back then when the last legislators I saw when were like Taylor group, I had some friends there. And they become what you call here, we call them in Canada, what the thing is? They are like middlemen.
They become middlemen or defensive. Okay.
Broker D's, right?
Okay.
You know what this boy was doing, Willie Knuckles, when Ellen Johnson became president?
Mm-hmm.
Willie had direct access to Ellen Johnson. So to see President Salif, you go through Willie. He gave you 5,000, 2,000, put in your pocket. Then he usher you to go and see the president. Just where money comes from to go directly into their pocket is all what they care about. They don't care about you. They don't care about me.
Wow,
that's a fight. Because these guys, and I tell them all the time. I told Tuawe and others that we had the opportunity to meet and sit. I said, you are being wicked to yourself, and Liberia suffer the consequence. Because if you think like a farmer, the farmer don't eat the seeds. The farmer plant the seeds. He sow the seeds in his field, and his harvest is heavy. He harvests he fill the barn with harvest.
So they eat their seed?
Yeah, they eat their seeds. Our leaders in Liberia are eating their seeds. That's why Liberia continue to struggle. If we were planting the seeds that we have, Liberia will be prosperous. I can tell you, my brother. If you retrospect back in the late 60s and the 70s, people from all the West African countries ran to JFK to receive treatment. The evidence, President Secretary Felix Houphouët-Boigny, they sought treatment in JFK. My late cousin Duman Trapp did eye surgery on President Houphouët-Boigny in JFK. So I'm giving you first-hand information on what I know Liberia used to be like. Those people coming to power don't even know the history of the country so that they can follow what we need to do. And I tell you, if I stole $1 million from Liberia and I build the state-of-the-art clinic in Monrovia, state-of-the-art clinic that I know when I'm sick, I can be treated right there rather than waiting for plane for 5 hours to take me to Ghana or now they are going to Kigali in Rwanda and die on the way going. I will be safe. Oh yeah,
they die on the way
they
going.
die on their way because the first thing is the first aid treatment is not even available. You have stolen $10 million from us, but when you get sick with little malaria, you're chilling. The first medicine not there. The first thing that comes to your mind, the process to buy the plane ticket, the process for the plane to arrive, the process to get the route fee, you'll die.
Yeah.
You'll die. But if you have a clinic that is a state of the art, it takes you 5 minutes from your house. In fact, when the ambulance arrives at the house, there are trained people on the ambulance that will start to resuscitate you before you can even get to the closest hospital to you. You'll be living. If we are thinking in that direction, then we are building a future, not just for us, but for the country and all those things. So I stole my 10 million from government and I built a state-of-the-art hospital. I'm not going there every day, but that hospital will be serving the larger majority of the community. And while at the same time my stolen money is coming back into my bank. I have just corrupted, but I'm saving the life of many people, including myself. Even if we think that direction, Liberia will be better. So my brother, when the budget come to the people in your legislators that you got there, they have learned maybe 3 things, the things you name, what they can add to the budget for themselves, and maybe what can benefit them or kill them directly. That's what they put into it. That's what they put into to take. They don't put there what will be a long-term strategic plan. They don't do it. Short-term. And when we start doing long-term strategic planning for the country, we will start comparing ourselves to other countries. That's what we're not doing. You know,
Okay.
Honor President Tubman and Talbot follow it. That the students we used to train at JFK, we train, they call them PA, physician assistant. They were trained to be like doctors to serve the rural areas. We train nurses, midwives. Do you know that we used to pay them to receive the training? That was one program, the healthcare delivery. We were paying the people, midwives and nurses, they were being paid to go to school so they would serve the public.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, foresight.
I also remember that
Foresight.
I did not go into education at the University of Liberia, but people who went to education at the education, agriculture, forestry at the University of Liberia were being given stipends.
Yeah.
If they went into those programs, in addition to them not having to pay tuition, because those were targeted development programs.
Yeah.
So the country wanted to create more teachers,
teacher college,
create more agriculturists,
yeah,
and they wanted to, invest in our, conservation,
human resource development,
human resource and conservation. So they said, if you go to these programs, not only will you not pay tuition, we'll give you stipends.
Yeah.
To sustain yourself.
Yeah. I'll tell you why, Alfonso. We're in election year, right? Considering all the gloomy picture that we've painted of our legislator, which is true, the evidence is clear that the people have an opportunity again to elect leaders. What should they be thinking about? I mean, consider you're sitting in the States, you tell me that you got something happening in Liberia. What exactly you're doing that you think can impact the selection of better leaders, and how is it pinning out? You're muted.
Isaac?
Again, I talk about the ensuing election in October and how it is really skewed towards the presidency or the presidential election. But there is another layer, and that is the legislature. So I have been involved quietly with community activism at a grassroots level, putting together some cells in the Oro area, the Kobacho Market area, the AW Community Highway, and the size of the cells goes between 45 to 65.
Persons?
Yeah, at least between 45 to 65.
Yeah.
So basically, I want people to know that, I mean, first of all, I don't know people who run their polls and say this person leading this poll. I mean, the silent majority going to speak in this election, Cyrus, because the people I'm talking to, they don't come on Facebook, they don't do podcasts, they don't call in on radio stations, but they will make their presence felt, they will make their voices heard during the election. So primarily, I speak to the people about the kind of candidate that we should be elected, not only at the presidential level, but also at the level of the legislature. The candidates, what are the quality, the character of the candidate. Again, if you put in bad candidates, what will be the result? We'll see it become relevant or evident in the kind of decision that they make. So again, those cells that I'm talking about, we'll also be looking at the person that is most qualified at this time to lead the country.
So, brother Johnson, let me ask you. I mean, that's a great undertaking. I've talked about this in many presentations and stuff that I've made, but I'd like to know what your criteria is about who will make a great candidate. What are you looking at? Education, degree? What exactly are you looking at as the person who will make a great candidate or a great legislator? You muted yourself, my man. You're doing bad to yourself.
The president should be knowledgeable.
What's that? Knowledgeable. Okay.
Yeah.
So, do you think that the problem we have with our legislators is that they're not knowledgeable? They don't know their job?
They may have the degree, but degree, having degree is one thing, implementing where you are learning is another. And again, a lot of the guys, they are not patriotic.
Okay.
Now,
So what are you doing? I want you, sorry if I'm breaking you. I just want to add this so that you can continue. So you say degree is not, is knowledge that matters, and also patriotism. So in your cells, what are you doing to make sure that your cells select the right people, the knowledgeable people, and the patriotic people? Third question is, are you teaching patriotism to members of yourself? Because it's another thing. You don't want to assume that they know patriotism and therefore they will look for patriotism. So you have that as a measurement, as a yardstick. How do they, however, comprehend and use that? Are you teaching them those things?
Yeah, the first thing, there is a view out there now that I was just talking about it with Sarah, that the motivation nowadays for people to get into the legislature is seeking wealth. You can hear me, right?
Yes.
Seeking wealth.
Yeah.
And one of the things I learned in my economic class is what they call rent seeking.
Yeah.
That is where you have an institution. You just want to get wealth from an institution, but you're not giving back to that institution. The legislature has become more or less like a wealth, like a rent-seeking institution. The people want to go in there and just take our resources, but what are they giving back? Also, what are they giving back?
No, I agree. They're not giving back anything. So my
But
question was, and you're
just
exactly correct. They're not giving back anything. They're just taking. My
okay.
question is, you're doing a great job. I mean, I have worked for years talking to political parties and politicians that what you need to focus on is not the presidency, but the legislature. That's where the power lies. Local government, that's where the power lies. Unfortunately, a lot of our politicians, when they jump on the first job, they want is president. So I'm happy that you're doing the work you're doing.
Yeah.
But also, it's important to make sure that the people you're working with know what they should be working to accomplish. You talk about patriotism, which is very important. You talk about rent seeking, which is critical because when somebody just pay rent, then there's no investment right there, right? So they're just seeking rent. So that's why what legislators do. They just want to benefit. I hope and I want to believe that you are doing that. You're educating the 40, 50, 60 people in yourselves to understand what patriotism is, what rent seeking is, what their legislators are supposed to do. And then once you have those 40, 50 people understand that concept, I bet 40 will multiply to 4,000 and 8,000 and whatever the numbers may be. So I applaud that, but I just wanted to make that point. Yeah.
Yeah, and one of the things I was able to let them to know, like in the community, for the patriotic part of it, I make them to know like you can't be voting for the man based on sentiment. You let that carry the man because he's been around here so long. No, that shouldn't be the reason you should be voting for your legislator. On sentiment, no. You be voting for your legislator on competence. They should be knowledgeable. That when they go in there, the decision that they will make, as I said earlier, these decisions are impactful to our lives.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You're 100% correct. Brother Hina, you are muted, but
Yeah.
yeah, so we're talking. I mean, Cyrus is back, but I guess I have the liberty of asking another question.
Go ahead.
So we're talking about legislature. We talked about local government before, which, by the way, is a passion of mine. I've written one or two papers and I'm doing stuff. I did not study local government, but I'm a political creature. So I totally agree with your concept. And I also did a paper actually on the Ellen Sally phenomenon and the decision by the Johnny Lewis Court, which was horrible. Having said that, we're now coming to the legislature. What do you believe is the current deficiency in the performance of our legislature, and how can that be fixed? I know you mentioned earlier that they don't know what they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Which I kind of disagree with a little bit because I'm also aware of trainings that were conducted for legislators in Liberia by NDI, the National Democratic Institute from the US, and a number of organizations. But let's put that aside. What is the problem? What's required to solve that problem?
Okay, well, thank you. I always say you need to have, we have a unitary political system in Liberia. You and I know that the legislature is the first branch of government. The ordinary person on the floor in Liberia, or common person you call them, The only person they know that control the government in Liberia is the president. For them, the president is the supreme leader of our country. And that is a problem. And the legislatures has actually failed to say, no, we are the actual leaders or we are the actual lawmakers of this country. We're supposed to make the law and get the judiciary and the executive branch to enforce and interpret it. The judiciary will interpret the law and punish you when you break it. The executive enforces the law because the police will arrest you when you break the law, whatever with speed limit or what have you to go. And that is not being enforced. That is a problem. And why? The people who sit in the legislature, they are there to work for the country, for us, the people. But rather, they have sold themselves to the executive branch of government, to the president. So whatever the president offered them is what they take. Leaders after leaders have come with the idea of like bribing the legislatures to pass certain bills or pass certain budgets that will benefit them, and they promise the legislatures something. In fact, to some instances, they even gave purses to them. They will divide the envelope already in their pocket before they can even go in the house to sign the papers. So they don't even have the capacity to review what they are signing, rather they just go ahead and sign it. So that is a problem itself. That demarcation of who am I as a legislator or legislator and the president, that division has to be amicably defined, because the president cannot spend a dime. You and I are here. The United States, when they talk about the president send the budget for private to increase the debt or to put the debt ceiling, and the legislature are saying, no, we can't do this one. In fact, you put the country in more debt to do this. There's a wrangling and debate and discussions before you can pass one. In our context in Liberia, as soon as the president say, hey, everybody dance to it. I saw Chancellor government, part of it. First thing when the legislature just came in, what he did, order this, you remember the Isuzu Jeep? Everybody had one of the Isuzu Jeep. Who in that house now to ask the president where you got the money from to get all the Jeeps? When by virtue of our constitution, legally, before he spent a dime, even for a Jeep to be bought for legislature, they have to approve that. It has to be appropriated before he can go spend it. But they are the receiving end. Some high-profile person and I were talking one time, and I'm going to call their name, and I said to them, if I was president of Liberia, I would stop corruption. And the person laughed, you can't do it. I said, yes, I can do it. And I asked the person question, when was the last time that you ever questioned a gift that your honor men working gave it to you? Here in this country, they call it kickback. The word I was looking for the guys here, they call them the lobbyists. Those who go to lobby, they are no different from the guy who like receives something from you to allow you to go and see Cyrus Gray because Cyrus Gray is not the minister. So I asked them, when was the last time you questioned a gift? Because Alfonso is the minister. He makes $5,000 a month. And all the guys in the ministry working, they are making like $200, $300, $100 a month. But they bring gift of $10,000 to Aloysius, and Aloysius take it without questioning how the gift came from. The day they bring the corrupt D for Aloysius to sign it, he doesn't have the balls to ask them, why are you bringing this to me? Because he has received several gifts. That's why here I work in government here, you don't take, if I sometimes gift card, it's just a plain, no money should be inside, should not have monetary value. They try to discourage you from taking gifts so that your judgment can be rational. Our people are being corrupted by that system in the first place. So like Brother Johnson said, they are coming now because ever since the line got exposed of how much money you can make as a legislator. And I was puzzled when I started reading the budget and getting to know that your members of the House of Representatives were making $15,000 United States dollars in addition to honor benefit, including entertainment benefit of $60,000 a year. Senators making $25,000 United States dollars a month in Liberia. I was puzzled. And I was kind of thinking, who is making this decision? So, in order to fix this, first thing we have to do, what is the cost of living in Liberia? How much do we pay? Because that's how the minimum wage in this country is defined. How much is for rent? How much is for utilities? Because the car is a necessity here. It's not luxury. No matter how old it is, you needed to move from one point to another. They put this thing in the factor, and that's where we come with the minimum wage of how much someone can be paid. So, if people lack this kind of knowledge to establish that rule for people to go through, then they don't have the capacity to be our legislators. And maybe you are listening, but I just said one of the line there is they don't know their function as legislators. So they become like servants to the president. Whatever the president says is what, because of our unitary system. So the by-election, the president is the custodian of all the public good of Liberia, rather than the national legislature being the overseer to make sure that though the president is the custodian, because the Ministry of the Finance and the National Bank are the receivers of our physical currencies or assets, but the legislature regulator is different from us. Our legislators are the symbol of the symbol of custodian, but no, they don't. They are like going to the president, who is the keeper of our good, to say, give us this piece. And the president say, okay, if you do this for me, I will give this piece to you. They are happy to go. And that is happening today. The president is to pass.
Yeah.
So I said, and I'll repeat my statement. The legislators lacks knowledge.
Okay.
If they knew how much power they had,
yeah,
they will make our country to be a better place. But two things: greed and lack of knowledge. Because and I think greed is the key word I can say. Greed and lack of knowledge.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cyrus.
Yeah.
You are amused. You seem amused.
No,
So
I'm enjoying Francis articulating those truths.
Yeah. I was watching your body language. So I think you probably should have an opportunity to make a point.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Francis, really, we have been happy to have you come early, man. You bring a whole lot of value to this discussion. And now over the weeks and months that are left before election, we want to continue to have this discussion, reach out to our people, because at the end of the day, what happens in October may just bring in the same types of people again, and no matter who's president, we'll go through the same tunnel. I mean, you know that Madam Sirleaf, who most people say was much more prepared for the presidency, she was even in the habit of bribing the legislature to pass bill. She would give them money to pass the bill, so that accountability mechanism gets taken away, because once the money changes hand, that's it. I mean, I've experienced it in many ways in Liberia. And, I've worked as consultant over there over and over, and I like to use the experience. 11 months I was down there when they were transferring the port to APMT. You will see that play out. I mean, a member of the House of Representatives who I know just called me while I was driving in the bypass. Said, "Oh, my man, I want to see you." And I stopped by to see him in the private office. He came to me and said, "Oh, my man, you okay with this person?" I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "The man want to talk to me on some kind of business." I said, "No, man, the man got private business to talk to you. Why you want me to sit down there?" But he go and talk to the guy, then he comes back and drop a whole bunch of money on the table. I said, "My man, the man brought in money for us to pass certain kind of bill." So I grabbed a whole bundle of almost $10,000. I said, "Well, this is corruption money, my man. All I owe eat the money." He started begging me, my man, the money down for I alone. I gotta go divide it with the legislators and this, that. So it's a whole scheme. So if he had that money now, he can go back there and make the rest of the guys to just sign in on the deal.
So Cyrus, very quickly, that's why I think the issue is not incompetence and the lack of knowledge. Cyrus, you seem to be mute. I'm not hearing you.
No, you can hear me now.
Oh, okay, yeah, I
Just,
hear
I'm
you.
just listening to you.
Oh, okay. That's
But,
why,
but
brother.
in a way, Alfonso, I understand your point, but a significant part of it is also
It's not
lack of
ignorance.
knowledge.
I don't think it's ignorance. I don't think it's lack of knowledge. Lack of knowledge, yes, it's a component, but I think it's small.
But do you know what knowledge can do to you?
I
Even
know,
knowledge
but I also
Knowledge is
in the
power.
I
presence of
agree. I
Yeah.
agree.
sway you.
Knowledge gives you stuff to say. Yeah, as brother Henan said earlier, why they're killing themselves early and they're doing whatever because they could make more money later on.
That's correct.
I agree with that. However, think that in this case, yes, knowledge is a factor, but what does it take somebody who got elected in the House or the Senate to know his powers? Do you need to go to Canada and go to school or ask Henan to teach you?
But strangely, there are lots of people in there who are really don't get, they don't have any basic concepts. To tell you the truth.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
Alfonso, let me interrupt you. Alfonso,
Yeah.
what I just articulated to you about the farmer sowing the seed
Yeah.
and harvesting the barn full, you
Yeah.
think that this guy had a common concept?
They don't have it.
That's what I'm saying. Do the lack of
Because
knowledge.
they have the money. They have
That's
the
why I said lack of
they have
knowledge.
they have
Those boys
they
have
they
sometimes
have the
2
money.
million, 3 million.
It's just that they don't know it. They don't know they have the money.
They don't even
That's why they're
believe
going
that
for
when
it.
they get sick, there's a possibility that they could be receiving quality treatment in the twinkle of an eye if they had the knowledge to apply the decency to what they have to do. They don't have. They lack the knowledge. And I said these boys then will have conversation. And when I put this thing to them on the table, they don't even know. I said, do you know that one windmill, the cost of one windmill will be somewhere between $75,000 to $150,000 of money that you have now in your pocket, and one windmill can supply up to 850 American homes. So I built my house on Pipeline Road, and I spent $150,000 I stole from like Brumpo coffers, and I put one windmill. I'm able to supply about 850 homes around that Pipeline Road, and not just an LEC by myself.
Yeah.
I supply them 24 hours electricity. So even if I'm dismissed as ministers,
Yeah.
my windmill will earn me residuals until maybe I die or until I leave wherever it is.
So that's to support your argument that knowledge.
That's it. It's power. No, that's what I'm saying. So
Got
it's
it,
a
Alfonso?
full argument that even if this guy was, but
Yeah, so let me
they have that money. They cannot even use it for their own betterment. Are those people that have knowledge? They don't. When they get sick with malaria or diarrhea, to leave from the house to run to go to the airplane before they can go to Ghana for treatment, they die. You know I'm telling you,
Brother
hundreds
Hannah,
of people die
brother-
and their monies are there.
Brother Hina, I totally agree with you that there's a knowledge deficit. I'm saying that greed and corruption play a bigger role than the knowledge.
And
deficit.
I agree. And I agree with you. But can greed be stability?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Everything into it.
I wanted to add to what Brother Johnson said about his cells. I just wanted to contribute.
Oh, go ahead.
Brother Johnson, I want to commend you for that effort you're making about the cells in Liberia. And personally, I know I'm on air. The whole world that listen to your program, listen to me today, and they know me. I'm not hiding. Some 3-4 months ago, Brother Cummings came here to Canada. We actually invited him, and he was here in my city, and we had a town hall meeting. And after that, we came to my house on the very table and sitting down talking to him in my living room here, and we had some tete-a-tete. And I was giving him my own idea. I'm disappointed since Brother Cummings left. Up to this point, we have not communicated. I've spoken to Isaac VAR. And what you're doing, I think, is the key of motivating what Brother Cummings can do for us in our country. I have explicit confidence in his ability to transform that country if given a chance. You need one man, one respectful, honorable person to be the president of the Republic of Liberia. He will transform the legislature, give them their power, and they will work independently. He can do that. I see that quality in him. I see he can transform the judiciary to operate impartially and deliver justice and truth to our people in Liberia. Given the chance, I believe he can do that, unless he refuses to do it, because I communicated with him. I'm a little bit aback from where we are right now. I don't know. I was saying to someone there are 64 electoral districts in Liberia, and they're telling me no, it's 75. I don't know whether the number has gone up, but the 75,
It's 73.
73 electoral districts.
Yeah.
I would have thought that by now the 73 electoral districts will be well organized, like those cells that you're talking about, at least 5 staff to each of those districts operating. We're in an electronic world. This conversation we're having will be projected on a screen in Bapolo in a remote village where there's a district headquarters. The screen is on because we'll be able to wire it through internet, and they will see us having this conversation so they can see it. That is my own view of the campaign you're running right there. If we're doing that, we'll be selling comments to the Liberian people at a very high level. I communicated with my sister-in-law that is in one of the districts in Nima County. She organized 2,000 women, and they invited Mrs. Kumi in the gown hall. And nobody had looked back to her. I called Va, I gave her a number. I said, Jeremiah Kun is senator today because she ran his campaign. And we have let that off the hook. As I speak to you now, she's dragging towards to go to Bakai now because Kum has become the vice president of Bakai. We let her off the hook. I talked to her. I told her how much power she had and what she can do to be a part of the transformation in Liberia. But we had let her go down to the greed bucket. The Kum just bought her a motorbike, and I promised her a pickup. I don't know how we're going to get her back to come to this progressive team to work for us to elect the right person. We are telling ourselves. I want to see those 673 electoral districts. Even if scream put her there, we start to advocate what we can do to change Liberia. Everybody who comes a stranger, Cummins have been in Liberia now for over 12 years. Working, yes.
So
I ran Clayton Waterson campaign against Taylor, and Clayton Waterson was one of the 2 person I can think about, strong, dependable, and I can tell you the history of Clayton Waterson, some of the things that he did. If you go to Matari Estate, the new Matari, that ROC stands for the Refinery Corporation on the houses. Clayton Waterson saved money from the LPRC, and they built those only for LPRC. Yeah, you remember. And the coup came, but yet the project still went on. On Clayton Waterson, we established supplementary budget for the Ministry of Lands and Mines. You know how when government hire you, it take the 3 months before you get on the payroll. If you're a technician, you're hired by Lands and Mines, you are being paid before you could go on the national payroll. Those innovations, Clayton Waterson was not able to articulate it properly for Liberian people to know, to be convinced to even vote for him. We have a good material. I don't know what party you guys are for, but in my heart of hearts, I know I support Cummins. But we're not selling. We need to sell Cummins to the Liberian people, and we're selling like a hot commodity. If he can't speak, let's speak for him.
Alfonso, what you say to that?
So, Brother Hina has said some really great and wonderful things, from local government all the way. As I've said before, I've given talks, conversations, lectures. I've written 2 papers on local government stuff. I've also talked about governance in Liberia. I had a debate where people said, well, initially coming from civil society, I've said we got to educate our people to learn who the right people to select. And somebody said, and people really cut me down to size and said, no, that is true. We should educate our people. We can't wait until all of the voters really get the knowledge. Once we get the right leader in place, our country will make progress. So I agree with the concept that Brother Hina just presented. Is the person who's supposed to bring the transformation Mr. Cummings? That's another question. That's another debate for another day.
Well, he said that Mr. Cummings.
He says it's Mr. Cummings, and that's what I said. That should be another discussion for another day. And the reason I'm saying so is I don't know if we have enough time to have that conversation. I have a view. I think Mr. Cummings grabs the concept. I don't think he grabs the practicality, and I don't think he's surrounded by the right people. And I think Brother Hine also made that point. Since they had a conversation in his home and they were supposed to contact him, nobody has. I've also heard two other people say that as well. I also look around Mr. Cummings. I see the leaders around him. They're not the people who inspire confidence for me. To be honest, I talk to some of them. I know some of them. I'm aware that we talk about history and track record. I look at their track record. I also don't see that as well. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't interact. I don't engage a lot with political parties and stuff. So maybe I'm wrong. But given my understanding, just personal in the corner, staying in my leg basement every day, I don't see that engagement. I don't see that transformation. I mean, name 5 people around Mr. Cummings who you think are transformative, and I will tell you what the problem is with Mr. Cummings. That's what I see. I think Cummings himself has that vision. He has that goal. But I don't see. I look at the chairman. I look at the people who were supposed to contact Mr. Hinen back. I look at what they were supposed to be doing according to Mr. Hinen. I could tell me if I'm wrong. So that's why I said we are where we are in terms of our political dispensation and in terms of going forward.
Okay, guys,
Maybe we have
let me give a quick question. We got another 13 minutes to go. Yeah, so we can gauge ourselves for it. Sorry about that, Alfonso. Go right ahead.
No, that's fine. I was concluding anyway. I would say, tell me something, give me an agenda, do something that's different, and then let's go. I was having a discussion with a young man who worked with Bezonga Finley in Bezonga Finley's office, where Finley hired him. So, he's something. That's Bezonga Finley's birthday. And so, Bezonga Finley in his house in Philadelphia. And he's doubting this man. Tell me something else. NPP. When NPP dissolve, Unity Party. When Unity Party dissolve, Liberty Party. When Liberty Party dissolve, this party. These political parties and political leaders need to do a few things. What is your ideology? Establish it and recruit people based upon that. 2, ethics. Establish your ethical standards and recruit people upon that. I live in the United States. When a woman got up and said that Barack Obama, man, he's a Muslim, he's not even born in the country, he's not qualified. John McCain, Republican candidate who was opposing Barack Obama, said, no, ma'am, this is a decent man. He's an American and he's running for president. The only difference I have with him is in ideology and how we run the country.
That's correct.
That's the leadership we need to look for.
Thank you, Alfonso.
Yeah.
I can't buttress. I can't support you more than that. Yeah. And I tell you what, and I want to add to what you got to do. From the days of the TUI party up to today's day, we've never built any institution in Liberia except the Liberian government itself.
Exactly. Thank you.
And I can point to you, that things that the little-minded people in Liberia did as institutions that are still existing today. I can point to you, go to Cabral Estate on the Oro. Cabral Estate is still there today because government put money to build public buildings there. They stay there. New Georgia Estate is still there. Matari Estate is still there. We build those as institutions, as government institutions. Even when the government failed, the individuals able to manage it today is still existing. But show me Initial Clay House. Where is Samia Doe House? Where is Bagbala House? Where are the houses that they store the money and build for their personal life? Where are they today? It's all broken down. It's gone. Huh? Where my friend John Boy house? All burned and gone. This is simple things that are being opened, and I want people to campaign on that and tell people if you do this thing, you lost. When you build it for the public, it's sustainable. Even when you're not there, it will go. Liberian government say exists today. Why? Because it's the government. But
It
everyone
is.
that
It
stole
is
from
an
it,
institution.
that's correct. It's an institution.
Yeah.
There is no political institution in Liberia. When Samuel Doe died, the NDPL died.
Yes.
When President Talbot died, the Tui party died. Because the leadership, the institution has always been built around our leaders. Until we can get a leader that will surround himself and build people. I built institutions, I can boast of it. I built institutions here in Canada. Leo Johnson, the current president, was my chief of staff in my office. He's now the president. He's doing better than I did when I was president. The little money I was asking people to pay due to run it, when Leo got what, he took it to a next level. We registered the organization. He was able to apply for grant from the Canadian government.
That's how it's supposed to be, brother Hina. You
That's
laid
correct.
the foundation
So
and
I'm
somebody goes
one
higher.
leader. That's
Yeah.
correct. I'm one leader who want to surround myself with the best. Then I go to bed and sleep. That because I'm knowledgeable, I can inspect their work and I can critique their work because I have the skill to do that. I see that in comments, but like you rightly said, whether it's around the people he surrounds himself with until he can become president, I don't know. But I think at this point, I have so much to give, and there's no way to give it back to them. So thank you, Brother Johnson, for those cells. It's very important politically. That's what we should be doing. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Brother Francis. Too, Caseta, do you have any parting comments to make? Let's make that round. We'll make our last set of comments before they are out.
All right, quickly to Francis, I say we talk off the air about who I support politically. I just send you a friend request if you look on you're on Facebook, right? Election is slated for October. All eyes are focused on the presidency. But again, I say we should look at it another level down there for the legislators. Let's put into office credible people, competent people, knowledgeable people. Because when they go in there, the decisions that they make, those decisions will be very impactful for us.
Okay, I'm a little frozen. If you guys can still hear me, who's gonna pick up next? Alfonso?
We're hearing you, so I will pick up. So the legislature, I don't like to say first, second. My God. I don't like to say first. Do you hear me, guys?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. I don't like to say first branch, second branch, third branch. To me, that doesn't matter. It's formalities. Whether you first or second, you have a role to play. Just play your role. And I think the legislature is the most powerful branch of government in any Republican Democratic form of government. It's the most powerful. It has all the powers. The president cannot fire legislators. Legislators can fire the president. The budget regarding how the country is run is determined by legislators. Whether or not the country gets into trades and deals or whether they sign contracts with private business entities is all determined and decided by the legislature and the legislators. Whether you have a school in your district, a clinic in your district is decided by the person you select to represent you and the work they are able to do to bring that clinic to your district or that school to your district. That is extremely, very, very important for you to choose the right people.
Yep.
All of the focus now is on who will be president, who will be rescue one, fixer two, this, that, blah, blah, blah. But all those things are meaningless until we put a strong, concrete legislature in place. because they do the budget. Here's what happens in the budgeting process, and I will be brief. The judiciary presents a draft budget. The executive, the president represents the executive, also presents a draft budget. Those are ideas of what they want to do during the year. But those things are presented to the legislature. The legislature then looks at those things and decides which things they will approve and which things they will not approve. That's significant power of the legislature. Second, when a budget is voted upon and your district doesn't have the school that you want, you can vote against that budget and that budget will not pass. That's another power you have as legislators. Then, of course, you have the power of forcing the executive and the judiciary, by the way, to report to you the money you gave them, how they spend it. If they don't report to you right or they report wrong something, you have a right to withhold funding to them. It's important for our people to know these things as they go to the polls, so they're not just voting for Paul Brennan Beggar, right? Get them $50, say go start a business or whatever the case may be. Is there a school in your district? Why don't you have safe drinking water in your district? Why the dirt fuller, the trash fuller in your district? Nobody picking it up. Those are why you don't have jobs. Why is it that there are no jobs for you to go to work? Why you got to wait until the representative bring 25-pound bag of bread to you every month before you eat, then the rest of the month you're hungry? Why? Ask those questions and therefore vote accordingly. That's the message we have to send to our people. And Brother Jack Johnson is doing a great job by actually going on the ground and organizing people and inculcating these ideas and values into them. We should build upon them, and political parties should understand that. Today in America, and this is my parting point, Mr. Biden can pass anything, even though he's president, because he doesn't have majority in the House, and he has a limited majority in the Senate. That's how democracy should work. The people should control through the legislature. And that's my parting point, and I end here.
Thank you, Alfonso. This is that was laudable. I don't think I can say anything more than that.
Okay.
I just want to add that we are in the learning curve continues. If you saw me emphasizing on an individual, Mr. Cummings, I read a bit about him and I've seen some of his output. And like we say, as an individual, he has a good track record when it comes to management. The current president asked a question one time that they requested the opposition parties to help him formulate an economic agenda that will help him to propel the country to the right direction. Mr. Cummings was leaving the country. He wrote a paper identifying resources or areas that could be the government could prioritize and they could get out of this thing, like natural resources coming to the West where they determine what the price should be. And I read that paper and I sat down and I said, yes, this is knowledge applied. And I hold into that. When he came here, someone asked a question to him. Your opposition, you're not president. What have you done to help this government? I was the first to raise my hand. I said, what he did to help this government, I have a copy. I read it. If I was a minister in that country and close to President I would grab that paper and say, Mr. President, this man is opposition, but this thing he gave us is an eye-opener. Can we implement line 1, line 2, line 3 and see how feasible it will be? I said I would have gone that direction. But I don't even see a surface to any way they want to do. So I'm a little optimistic that maybe when he's sitting at that tab and to be able to make the right decision, those cockroaches, if I may refer to them, that are like around
don't do that. You're not Rwandan.
No, I know.
That causes a lot of death. That causes a lot of death.
That
I'm
needs
joking.
spray to control them, or
I'm
pets,
joking.
or
Yeah.
infestation to control the pets. We probably put it there. I remember in Liberia, like, you know how our borders are entries where the custom collect money? You know how they used to do that? In fact, you had to be bonded to work in custom. But here is
What does that mean? What does bonding mean?
Oh, those days you have to get a bond. They have to give you you have to be bonded. I think it was $75,000 before you can receive government taxes coming to you. But I knew one boy was sitting to look at home. Those boys will collect the taxes paid to them for 3 months, and then they bring 1 month to the bank in Monrovia. Every 3 months they will come and bring 1 month of fees that they collected. What if we had a system like here that you pay your fees through the bank, and it happened there?
Yeah.
Some time ago, there was a lady called this woman, who was the city mayor, Madam Broad. They sent her the passport. She went and established a system. You go to the foreign ministry, you go to the bank, you pay your money for the passport and bring your receipt, and they print your passport. In 2 weeks, you have a passport. She went to the port. It was organized. She was appointed city mayor. The city got clean. What happened to she alone?
So even to add to you, Brother Hinham, before you continue, in this country now, you just go, you just take your credit card, you put on the app or something.
That's it.
It's paid.
It's paid.
Only thing that's needed is internet.
Yeah.
We have internet in Liberia.
It's on the go.
So why we can't implement
why we can implement it? That's what I was saying to you. Why is our candidate not being projected in the 73 electoral district on screen for the people to see him? It became the daily bread. Each morning, when they wake up, the screen is on. You see him telling you what he can do for the country. That's a positive campaign we should run.
That's Sarah and God said that.
Yeah, so I want to close by saying thank you, Sarah. James Wright told me about you and putting this program up. It was short notice. This morning he called me on my way to church, but I'm glad I could make it to be here, a part of you. So Brother Alfonso, you and I look like we are petting the same boat together, because our ideas when it comes to governance and government, it's not one person, but it's one person driving the car right, and then 10 people in that car will arrive safely. Absolutely. It's one pilot or pilot and a co-pilot flying the plane with 200 people inside, but the pilot, the flight right, and everyone reaches their destination at the right time and safely. So we need a president that will be that pilot, that will not be greedy, that will transform the legislature, that will be able to transform the judiciary. I want a president that will have a debate with the legislatures and say, this is your job and this is my job. You're not doing your job, so we can get the job done. And that quality I find in a young man named Calling, I hope that when the game is over and he's like the captain of the team holding the ball in hand, he'll know who to pass the ball to for the play right. But thank you.
Brother Hina, I will reach out to you. You're right. We do have similarities in some views. Yeah.
Thank you.
Mr. Gray. Sarah, you hearing us?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you now.
I can hear you barely, but can you hear me?
I hear you well, very clear.
You hear me, Alfonso?
Yes, I hear you very clear, Sarah.
Okay, my man. I mean, it's really good having you guys on today, and especially Francis. I know you came later, but I'm happy that you did come. I look forward to inviting you on more of these shows so we can keep this discussion going and communicating with our people on these essential matters. Alfonso, I also thank you. Thanks for everything. I know we had a back and forth here on my side. I got some technical issues here, but I think this was a great show, and also to consider. So, if there's nothing else to say, well, you guys have a good Sunday, and we'll catch up on the other side.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, brother Hannah Gazeta. Thank you, brother.
Good night, brother.
Yeah, Cyrus. Thanks, brother.
Bye-bye.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thanks a lot. So this has been this week's edition of Election Central. We have some technical issues here. It happens every now and then, but thanks for joining us, and you have a good Sunday. For those of you in the United States and Canada, happy Independence Day.